Chapter 131. Seeing Lu Hanshan's eyes, Ouyang Ming was enraged. He yelled out, "Broken dragon move." He threw a sideways kick. The sharp, blade-like leg power tore the air apart, creating a shrill howl as it landed on the purple monument. All of a sudden, the silhouette of the dragon reappeared, but it was broken into pieces. Crack! The purple monument was covered in cracks, and finally, it exploded. However, right at this moment, a human silhouette darted out from the broken monument. A gigantic fist was holding the monument, trying to attack Ouyang Ming, who was still in the air. Great monument shakes the sky. Let's see how you can shake my dragon beheading kick. Ouyang Ming threw 2 strikes at the monument in a row, and stopped in the air with the help of the counterforce. Seeing Lu Hanshan coming at him, Ouyang Ming grinned hideously and threw the dragon-slaying movement, the most powerful move of his dragon beheading kick. The horrifying leg power seemed to be able to destroy souls. Boom! Lu Hanshan was knocked down from the sky, and was forced to take over 10 steps back. Ouyang Ming didn't gain the upper hand either, his body was flipped over in the air, and finally fell on the ground. Lose. Great monument suppression. Without any hesitation, the two of them once again started fighting against each other. Rainstorm-like attacks were launched one after another. Ouyang Ming's dragon beheading kick was extremely powerful. It was almost as powerful as a mid-rank Earth Realm martial skill. Every single kick launched by Ouyang Ming was able to shatter the opponent's mind. Lu Hanshan's Great Monument Heavenly King Fist was slightly weaker than the dragon beheading kick, however, the extreme purple art was extremely powerful. After reaching the 9th level of the East Rising Purple Chi, Lu Hanshan was able to absorb the purple chi and increase the power of his martial skills. That was the reason why he was able to compete with Ouyang Ming's dragon beheading kick without falling into a disadvantageous situation. 300 moves. 500 moves. After 600 moves, Zhuang Qingxian knew that he couldn't let them go on like this. In order to decide the winner, they would need at least 2,000 moves. Besides, their cultivation was way too low. If they took 2,000 moves, they might die of exhaustion. Even clasping Yuan realm martial artists could barely take 2,000 moves. Releasing a stream of qi, Zhuang Qingxian stood up and said, "You two, please stop. Today is just a show, we don't have to decide the winner." The Sky Cloud Martial School's head elder nodded. He had already realized that Lu Hanshan wouldn't be able to win against Ouyang Ming. Of course, Ouyang Ming wouldn't be able to win against Lu Hanshan either. The first elder of the Purple Sun House had an ugly expression on his face. Lu Hanshan didn't launch another attack. Instead, he let out a long breath and said blandly, "It seems that you won't be able to defeat me today." "You didn't defeat me either." Ouyang Ming suppressed his boiling qi and blood. "Today's battle will be decided in the future. The title of young master is always waiting for you." After saying this, Luo Hanshan returned to his seat. Zhuang Qingxian retracted his qi and said, "Who else wants to challenge me? Valley Master, let me do it." Liu Wuxiang, who had been quiet all this while, walked out. Zhuang Qingxian was slightly surprised. "Wuxiang, who do you want to challenge?" Liu Wuxiang's cold eyes fell on Lynch. "I've always heard that your blade is very fast, even faster than young Master North Snow. I wonder if it's true." Lynch stood up. "You will lose. It's still too early to talk about winning or losing, don't you think? My fast blade is based on speed. Either you defeat me quickly, or you are defeated by me quickly. There is no third possibility." Lynch's face was expressionless. His temperament was neither sad nor happy. He looked even colder than Liu Wuxiang, colder to the extreme. "I think I've heard about this before, I want to experience it even more." A strong fighting intent was released from Liu Wuxiang's body. It was not any weaker than Ouyang Ming's or Lu Hanshan's, it was even stronger. Step by step, he walked up to Liu Wuxiang. 30 steps in front of him, Lynch took out a great blade from his storage ring. A strange light flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. Lynch didn't use the low-rank great blade. It seemed that he wanted to defeat Liu Wuxiang with his own power in a fair fight. "Let's do this." A cyan-colored stream of air rose from Liu Wuxiang's body. This stream of air was extremely sharp, it looked like a saw, twisting and cutting the air that came in contact with it, causing a hissing sound. Clang. As soon as the blade was pulled out, Lynch's body had already disappeared. A white beam of light shot out and hacked on Liu Wuxiang's protective Zhenqi layer. Puff. That layer of cyan-colored airstream was cut in half, but Liu Wuxiang didn't even have the time to react. So fast. Liu Wuxiang's pupils shrank, he was greatly shocked. Although he had already known that Lynch was powerful, and that he might have already reached young Master North Snow's level, he didn't expect that Lynch's blade could be this fast. It even slowed him down a bit. Not daring to be careless, the cyan-colored airstream around Liu Wuxiang's body suddenly rose, forming a cyan-colored armor that was filled with a strong killing intent. The armor was incomparably thick, and there were huge sharp horns on the edge of the armor. At first glance, it looked like an ancient demon had come back to life. Clang, 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 but in the next second, Lynch's blade arrived once again. No one could see Yi Chen's figure, only the snow-white blade light could be seen, again and again, hacking on Liu Wuxiang's cyan-colored Zhenqi armor, making a loud metal clanging sound. 31st blade attack. Boom. A condensed blade light extended to tens of meters long, and went through Liu Wuxiang's waist. Putting the blade back into the sheath, Lynch walked back to his seat. What's going on? The winner hasn't been decided yet. Could it be that Lynch knows that he can't beat Liu Wuxiang, so he doesn't want to fight? While everyone was still puzzled, the Zhenqi armor around Liu Wuxiang's body cracked and exploded, leaving only a pale-faced man standing in place. The crowd fell into a dead silence, followed by a stone that caused 1,000 ripples. Liu Wuxiang lost. With only 31 blade attacks, Liu Wuxiang lost. Liu Wuxiang is recognized as a child-level warrior, but Lynch defeated him. Doesn't that mean that Lynch has already reached the same level as young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu, or even surpassed him? The North Snow fast blade is indeed worthy of its name. It's extremely fast, without any fancy moves. Yu Yu's mouth curved into a smile. These people probably don't know yet. Back in the villa, young Master North Snow had already fought against Lynch, and both of them were evenly matched. However, in Yu Yu's eyes, Lynch had won, because he was still improving, and had never stopped. Lu Hanshan said word by word, the North Snow fast blade is indeed worthy of its reputation. Among all the martial arts in the world, there is nothing that cannot be broken by speed. Speed is not only about speed, but also about attacking power. When one's speed reaches a certain level, even a piece of paper or a leaf can penetrate an iron armor, and kill someone without leaving a trace. Yi Chen knew better than anyone else that Lynch's initial attacking power was not ridiculously strong, but after his speed increased, he was able to easily cut through Liu Wuxiang's Zhenqi armor, and every time he launched an attack, he would try to find the weak point of the armor, preparing for the final attack. Hearing him, Lu Hanshan and Shu Jing both looked at him. It was the first time for them to hear such a straightforward and easy-to-understand theory. The fourth elder and the head elder glanced at each other. They couldn't understand Yi Chen at all. How could he know so much at such a young age? And what he said was very reasonable and straight to the point. Nangong Yun, the Rudra Martial School's rain warrior, shook his head and said, unbelievably fast. This guy is only below the 3 young masters. No, he might even be below young Master Emerald. Yuan Shuamei said in surprise, second brother, is he really that powerful? He has already understood the profound meaning of speed. Every single movement and movement of his is able to push his speed to the limit. If you want to compete with him, you will have to be faster than him, or be far more powerful than him. But of course, my eyesight is limited, maybe there are other ways to deal with him. After this fight, Lynch had become even more famous. Although he didn't have the title of child, in everyone's mind, he had already become the new child. After watching North Snow Fast Blade Lynch's battle, the rest of the matches became boring. Everyone was looking forward to seeing what kind of heavyweight matches would happen next. The fight was over. Shapotian stood up. It was time. Everyone looked at Shapotian curiously, wondering who he was going to challenge. Yi Chen, you are quite powerful. There are not many young martial artists in the Windy Nation who can beat you. Do you want to accept my challenge? Of course, if you don't, I won't force you. It's just a bit of a pity. Shapotian flattered Yi Chen right at the beginning. With this flattery, he would be able to fight against Yi Chen and destroy his half-step sword intent with peace of mind. Just as he expected, everyone thought that it was reasonable. The scene where Yi Chen beat Cheng Junxia was still vivid in their minds. Perhaps it might be a bit difficult to compete with those experienced young martial artists, but he was still qualified to fight against Yi Chen. After all, this was not a life-and-death fight, it was just a show. Yi Chen didn't care about Shapotian's cunning words, he nodded and said, "Sure." The corner of Shapotian's mouth curved into a smile. "Finally, this moment has come. I wonder what kind of expression you will have when the fight is over." The two stood facing each other. The next moment, Shapotian's body let out a bright, glass-like light, which was mixed with pure golden light. It looked like gold, but not like gold, and also like jade, but not like jade. His skin, hair, and even his eyes had been dyed with a different color, as if his body was no longer made of flesh and blood. The 9th level of Colored Glass Spell, Golden Glass Body. Colored Glass Spell is one of the most powerful low-rank Earth Realm defensive martial arts in the Emerald Martial Palace. Once you reach the 9th level of Golden Glass Body, you will be invulnerable to weapons, water, and fire. Your defensive power will be many times stronger than any demonic beast at the same level. Basically, you will be invincible. With the protection of Golden Glass Body, Yi Chen has no chance at all. I just wonder how many moves he can take. Yi Chen took a glance at Shapotian's body, then nodded and said, "I have also trained a defensive martial art, I wonder whose one is better." While speaking, Yi Chen's body suddenly shook, and a bright light burst out from his body as well. However, it was not a glass-like light, but a jade-like light. A layer of jade-like luster covered his entire body. His muscles became more and more angular, and his facial features looked like they were carved by a knife. He looked like a beautiful jade statue. The 5th level of the Pure Jade Body Boosting Spell. The level of Golden Steel Body Boosting Spell. Buzz. The crowd once again boiled up. Shapotian's nickname Stone Man was because of his extremely high defensive power, which made him as stable as a rock. However, Yi Chen had also trained a defensive martial art. Judging from its appearance, it seemed to be no weaker than Shapotian's Colored Glass Spell. The battle between the two great defensive martial arts, who would be more powerful? Chapter 132. Shapotian raised his eyebrows and sneered in his mind. "You want to compete with my golden body with a random body-strengthening art? You're really reckless. If that's the case, then let me see what you can do." Shapotian leaned his body forward, his speed suddenly reached its limit, leaving a series of golden afterimages behind him. In terms of speed, he was only slightly slower than Lynch. When he was less than 3 meters away from Yi Chen, Shapotian bent his right arm and threw out a punch. This punch was simple and direct, it contained all of its power. However, the air-tearing sound was especially ear-piercing. Yi Chen didn't show any intention of backing off. He took a step forward with his right foot and threw out a punch as well. Boom! 2 bloodless fists collided with each other. The air was compressed and splattered in all directions. The ground cracked and collapsed, and a depression appeared. The next second, both of them were pushed back, unable to stop their bodies. Fierce. The fist power didn't leak out at all, it was completely focused on his opponent. In terms of physical strength, the two seemed to be equally matched. I wonder how much of Shapotian's power is. To be honest, I really can't tell. Both of them released their power the moment they touched each other's bodies. It's hard to tell without experiencing it myself. On the stage, some people were discussing in low voices. Shapotian stopped himself from backing off and raised his head. There was a hint of surprise in his eyes. He was known as the Stone Man, not only because of his high defensive power, but also because of his great physical strength. Without using any Zhen Qi, he had once killed a peak rank 3 beast with his bare hands, and he could even fight against a rank 4 beast with his bare hands. His opponent was 2 or 3 years younger than him, but not only was he quite good at sword arts, he had also comprehended the half-step sword intent. However, for Shapotian, the more outstanding Yi Chen was, the more he wanted to destroy Yi Chen's confidence, so that he would never be able to stand straight again. Let's see how many punches you can take. Chapotian accelerated and arrived in front of Yi Chen in 2 to 3 steps. His golden fist turned into a series of afterimages, each of which contained his full power. Yi Chen was not afraid of him at all. He started to fight against him. After hundreds of moves, Chapotian grinned and said, "Take this." Not defending. Yi Chen furrowed his brows. His opponent had completely given up on defense, and his attack speed had increased exponentially. If he were to fight head-on, he would inevitably be hit by a few punches. If he didn't fight head-on, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. After all, no matter how sturdy his defense was, there would still be a day when a gap could be opened up. Hardening his heart, Yi Chen also gave up on the idea of defending and punched out with his jade-like fist. Bang! Bang! Both of them took a punch each, causing sparks and banging sounds to ring out. Chapotian grinned hideously, as if that punch just now had no effect on him at all. Then, he leapt forward and once again engaged in battle with Yi Chen. Bang 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 bang. For a moment, even Yi Chen and Chapotian didn't know how many punches they had received. They only knew that every part of their upper bodies had been taken care of, and even their heads had been punched a few times. Compared to them, there was no need to mention those young elites who were watching the fight. They could only see that the two of them were like madmen. They only knew how to attack, they didn't know how to defend at all. It seemed like whoever could punch the other one more time would be the winner. What a freak. Whoever fights against them will definitely be at a disadvantage. Their defense is so strong. They can't even break their opponent's defense, let alone us. We will only be able to scratch an itch for them. Chapotian cultivates the colored glass spell. What kind of body-strengthening art does that Yi Chen cultivate? How come he is so powerful? He is not weaker than Chapotian at all. After fighting for a long time, Chapotian was getting impatient. His opponent's defense was beyond his imagination, and it seemed like the colored glass golden body alone wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. If that was the case, he would have to use other martial arts. Heavenly Star Explosion. Leaping into the air, Chapotian's fist shone with a dazzling golden light as he punched down. Finally using a martial skill, Yi Chen threw out the second movement of the Tyrant Fist Art, the Soul Tyrant Fist Art. The surrounding Yuan Qi was instantly sucked into the fist power. Explode. What surprised Yi Chen was that for the first time, the Tyrant Fist Art had been suppressed by another martial skill. The invincible fist power exploded layer by layer, as if it was filled with gunpowder. Shoo! Flashing across the air, Yi Chen had already moved back tens of steps. Chapotian chased after Yi Chen and threw out a punch. Since the Tyrant Fist Art had failed, Yi Chen had no choice but to use the hidden cloud sword. He threw out a sword attack and activated his half-step sword intent. Crackle! The fist power and the sword chi were equally matched, neither of them could gain the upper hand. The Heavenly Star Exploding Fist Art is a low-rank Earth Realm martial skill, but it can suppress most martial skills. The fist power contained in it is extremely powerful, and once it touches the sword, it will explode from inside out. Lu Hanshan had been famous for a long time. He had recognized Chapotian's martial skill with only a single glance. The main reason why this sword chi of Yi Chen could be equally matched with Chapotian's sword intent was because of the sword intent. The sword intent itself contained a sharp power, and once it merged with this sharp power, the sword chi of a sword artist would become even more powerful and hard to break. Let's see how you are going to block this. At this moment, Chapotian finally threw out his most powerful martial skill. He clenched both of his fists in the air and threw them out like two dragons flying out of the sea, as if they were going to shake the entire world. Rumble. The golden light covered almost half of the square, and the fierce fist power was completely hidden. Only the deafening sound of explosion could be heard, while the power was moving towards Yi Chen. This was the first time that Yi Chen had encountered such a tough opponent, and it was not strange at all. Chapotian was one of the top 4 core disciples of the Emerald Martial Palace, and he was no weaker than Liu Wuxiang. Among the young generation on the scene, except for young Master Emerald who had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, only the North Snow Fast Blade Lynch could defeat him. Yi Chen had just stepped into the late condensing reality realm, Although his Jin Qi was not weak, it was not as pure as the Jin Qi of the peak-level late condensing reality realm martial artists. Yi Chen's only advantage was his half-step sword intent. Sword intent. It seems that I have no choice but to use that sword move. After thinking for a moment, Yi Chen made up his mind and stopped hesitating. Taking a step forward with his left foot, Yi Chen held the sword in his right hand and raised it high. He focused all of his attention on the hidden cloud sword and swung it down. Swoosh! No one could describe how fast this sword move was, because before Yi Chen made any move, a thick stream of sword qi had already darted out. This stream of sword qi was as fast as lightning. It turned into a beam of white light and instantly disappeared into the golden light. Silently, the golden light was split into two, and all of the fist power was destroyed. Like snow in the spring meeting the scorching sun, it melted away. Crack! A crack appeared on Shapotian's ribs, and blood gushed out from it. Shapotian didn't even have any reaction. What kind of sword art is this? How could it be so fast? After the sword move, the crowd fell into a dead silence. Finally, someone couldn't help but yell out. All the head elders from the top martial institutions looked confused. None of them knew what this sword move was. Only Yuan Shuamei seemed to be thinking about something, then her facial expression changed drastically, as if she had seen something unbelievable. She opened her mouth wide and couldn't close it anymore. Zhuang Qingxian's face darkened. He said word by word, "The single sword move." "Headmaster, what is the single sword move?" Liu Wuxiang hurriedly asked. According to the legend, in the ancient times, there was a sword artist who created a sword art for revenge. This sword art only had one move, and that was the single sword move. To perform the single sword move, the cultivator must combine his spirit, qi, hands, eyes, and body into one. This is only the first step. The second step is even more difficult. It requires the cultivator to use the sword as a guide, and release all of his power in the form of a sword to kill enemies who are more powerful than him. However, after performing the single sword move, the cultivator will also feel weak for a period of time. Normally, ordinary sword artists wouldn't be able to perform the single sword move. Only those who have a pure heart or those who have comprehended the sword intent can do it. However, this Yi Chen has already touched the edge of the sword intent, so it's not strange for him to be able to perform it. While explaining, Zhuang Qingxian really wanted to know where Yi Chen had obtained the single sword move. One should know that it wasn't that easy to successfully perform the single sword move. If he didn't do it well, he might even suffer from qi deviation and lose his cultivation. However, Yuan Shuamei knew it better than anyone else, because the sword manual she had given to Yi Chen contained the introduction of the single sword move. However, it was clearly just an introduction, not a secret manual. How did Yi Chen manage to successfully perform the single sword move? Could it be that he was able to perform the single sword move with just his imagination? How is this possible? Shapotian stared at Yi Chen. His heavenly astral explosive fist move was not only powerful. If Yi Chen didn't have any other tricks up his sleeves, he would only need 10 moves to defeat Yi Chen. However, he had never thought that Yi Chen would give him such an unexpected attack, and with only one move, he had lost all of his power. Yi Chen's face turned slightly pale, but it wasn't as serious as Zhuang Qingxian had described. He had indeed learned the single sword move from the sword manual, and the theory behind it was actually quite similar to the sword intent. However, the sword intent could be activated for a long period of time, while the single sword move couldn't. The most important function of the single sword move was to increase a sword artist's power drastically, allowing him to kill his enemies with only one move. Puff! Shapotian spat out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't even stand straight anymore. His golden body had been broken, and it had taken a huge toll on him. Without 3 months of rest, he wouldn't be able to recover to his peak state. Right now, he was even weaker than an early condensing reality realm warrior. Needless to say, an inner elder of the Emerald Martial Palace walked up and held Shapotian up. On the Purple Sun Martial Palace's side. This kid is so scary. What other tricks does he have up his sleeves? Can Zhu Liang handle him? Will he be able to escape this time? If so, it will be even harder to kill him in the future. The elder of the Purple Sun Martial Palace, who was sitting next to Zhongqing, said to the head elder through Zhenqi. The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial Palace snorted, "Don't underestimate Zhu Liang. He has killed quite a lot of geniuses, some of them were even as powerful as Yi Chen. Not to mention, we just need to remind him to be prepared for this sword move. After this sword move, he won't be able to fight back anymore." Yeah. How come I didn't know that this sword move was so powerful? It must have some side effects. Sitting straight on the chair, Yi Chen's face turned even paler, but he was sneering in his mind. He had a powerful soul power, and although it seemed that performing the single sword move would consume a lot of his soul power, it was actually not a big deal. If he put his life on the line, he could perform it 3 or 4 more times without a problem. He just pretended to be a show to the others, he didn't want it to be too shocking. Chapter 133. Ever since the fight between Yi Chen and Shapotian had ended, almost all of the disciples from the top martial institutions had fought against each other, and none of them seemed to want to fight again. "Brother Yi, are you all right?" Seeing Yi Chen's pale face, Luo Hanshan thought that Yi Chen was suffering from some serious side effects after using the heart refining. Yi Chen shook his head, "Just a small thing, Brother Luo, don't worry." Luo Hanshan said, "You'd better not use this move in the future, it's too dangerous, either you or the enemy will die." "Thank you, Brother Luo." This Luo Hanshan was a nice guy, he was neither arrogant nor rash, never discouraged, and always treated people with kindness. He never acted like the second brother or the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Luo Hanshan grinned and said, "You are a treasure of our Sky Cloud Martial School, how can I not care about you?" Hearing him, the head elder and the fourth elder also grinned. The sun slowly went down. The fighting performance was coming to an end. Zhuang Qingxian stood up and said, "Everyone, although the fighting performance is over, the celebration banquet is not. There will be a banquet in the evening, I hope you can all come." "No problem, we rarely come to the Emerald Martial Palace, we are not in a hurry to leave. Since there will be a banquet for us, let's enjoy ourselves. Leader Zhuang, don't worry, we will definitely attend the banquet." It was already late, and it was not convenient for them to travel. Therefore, they didn't refuse and decided to stay in the Emerald Martial Palace for the night, and leave the next morning. The banquet was very sumptuous, everyone started to eat. In a secret hall of the Emerald Martial Palace. The hall was brightly lit, and the elders of the top 4 martial institutions were sitting in the hall. The leader of the Emerald Martial Palace, Zhuang Qingxian, was sitting in the first seat, and 2 inner elders of the Emerald Martial Palace were sitting beside him. Zhuang Qingxian glanced at the crowd and said, "I have called you all to attend this meeting because I have an important announcement." The head elder of the Rudra Martial School was a beautiful woman, about 35 years old. She said, "What is it? Is it related to the top 5 martial institutions?" Related to the top 5 martial institutions? Hearing the woman's words, the others seemed to be thinking about something, and their faces turned serious. Zhuang Qingxian nodded, "It's indeed related to the 5 major sects, but it's not that serious for now. Half a month ago, a disciple of our Emerald Martial Palace found a branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain by chance. Although he didn't manage to sneak in, judging from the security around it, it is undoubtedly one of the most important strongholds of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, which is used to train the new generation of Ghost Guards." The branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, Ghost Guards. Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. The incident of Malevolent Earth Sect being annihilated was still vivid in their minds. The Ghost Man was one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult, and his power was as deep as the ocean. Although he hadn't fully recovered from his injuries, and hadn't reached his peak, he was still not someone that the leaders of the top martial institutions could compete with, even if they joined hands. The Ghost Man used to live in the Ghost Corpse Mountain. Later on, a great war broke out, and the Ghost Corpse Mountain was destroyed. However, its name was still there, and it became a symbol of the Ghost Man's power. Besides the 5 loyal ghost servants, the Ghost Man also had a large number of Ghost Guards. The Ghost Guards were divided into 4 levels. The low-level Ghost Guards were the weakest, equivalent to late condensing reality realm warriors. The mid-level Ghost Guards were equivalent to early clasping Yuan realm warriors. The high-level ghost guards were at mid-clasping Yuan realm, and above them were the top ghost guards at late-clasping Yuan realm. Each level of ghost guards had a ghost guard leader, who was the most powerful ghost guard of the same level. If that was all, there would be no need to worry too much. After all, it was not that easy to increase one's cultivation, and training ghost guards was not something that could be done in a day or two. However, the reason why the ghost man was able to rank in the upper middle level among the 108 ghost warriors was not because of his own power. Instead, he relied on the method of training ghost guards. No one knew where he found a scroll that could stimulate the potential of the human body. This scroll could allow ordinary people to have a cultivation speed that was even faster than geniuses. Of course, there were also disadvantages. Because of the excessive stimulation of potential, the ghost guards who trained in this scroll could not live past the age of 40. Only a few of them could live past the age of 40, and their bodies would start to deteriorate. They would age prematurely. Because of this, the ghost guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain were all extremely cruel and evil. They wanted to enjoy everything they could before the age of 40, and they did not care about anything at all. The head elder of the North Snow Martial Academy said, "Leader Zhuang, you mean, we should destroy the Ghost Corpse Mountain's branch?" "That's right, we can't let the Ghost Corpse Mountain rise again. We have to do everything we can to weaken the Ghost Corpse Mountain's power before the Ghost Man fully recovers. Otherwise, in a few years, the 5 top-ranked martial institutions and the entire Windy Nation's martial world will face a disaster." As the leader of the 5 top-ranked martial institutions, the Emerald Martial Palace not only needed to suppress the other 4 top-ranked martial institutions, but also needed to eliminate all the dangers of the Windy Nation. Otherwise, they would be the first ones to suffer. The head elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School nodded. "That's right, I agree with Leader Zhuang's suggestion. Do you have any plans? Besides, we are still not sure how powerful that branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain is. If we attack it recklessly, I'm afraid something unexpected might happen." The 5th elder of the Purple Sun Martial School sneered. "Since when did the Sky Cloud Martial School become so timid? It's just a branch of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, how powerful can it be?" The tall and sturdy 4th elder retorted, "How about your Purple Sun Martial School take the lead? Facing an external enemy, the 5 top-ranked martial institutions should work together. If our Purple Sun Martial School takes the lead, wouldn't that be breaking the rule? Don't even mention it." The 5th elder of the Purple Sun Martial School glared at the 4th elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Seeing this, the head elder of the Rudra Martial School shook his head and said, "Let's hear what Leader Zhuang has to say first." Zhuang Qingxian sorted out his thoughts and said, "I think the 5 top-ranked martial institutions should each send out a group of warriors to attack the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch together. In each group, there should be at least 3 late-clasping Yuan Realm warriors, 7 mid-clasping Yuan Realm warriors, and 15 early-clasping Yuan Realm warriors. The total number should be over 100. Of course, we can also bring some of our disciples to train themselves in the battles." "Great, let's do that. When should we do it?" The North Snow Martial Academy's style had always been swift and decisive, just like their blade skills. "The 8th of August. Zhuang Qingxian continued, "Tomorrow morning, you have to be careful on your way back. I suspect that some people from the Ghost Corpse Mountain have sneaked into the Emerald Martial Palace. They might try to harm you." If it weren't for the fact that the Ghost Corpse Mountain was right under his nose, Zhuang Qingxian wouldn't have reminded them at all. After all of them were top-ranked inner elders of the 4 top-ranked martial institutions. Even one death would be a great loss, not to mention those talented disciples who could become the pillars of their martial institutions in the future. However, for the long term, Zhuang Qingxian had to say it out loud. Otherwise, if they were ambushed on their way back, some people would start to suspect the Emerald Martial Palace, and it would be even more difficult for them to work together in the future. At the very least, the Emerald Martial Palace was the overlord of the Windy Nation. 1 or 2 top-ranked inner elders and talented disciples would not be able to shake their foundation, so there was no need to worry too much. Late at night, the starlight was dim, and the moon was hiding in the clouds. The ground was pitch black. A chopstick-shaped insect with 4 pairs of wings flew up from a luxurious yard, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. In the green willow house. Under the crystal lamp, Yi Chen started reading the sword manual from the beginning again. The battle this afternoon had benefited him a lot. His understanding of swordsmanship had also deepened. Especially after seeing so many experts of the younger generation spar with each other, it had broadened his horizons a lot. In this regard, he felt that he was far from reaching the limit of what he could achieve. He wanted to gain some insights from the sword manual. As he flipped through the pages of the sword manual, Yi Chen's eyes shone even brighter. In the other residences, none of the young warriors who had participated in the fight this afternoon had fallen asleep. Just like Yi Chen, they had all learned a lot from the sword manual. As long as they could digest all of these, they would definitely be able to make further progress and surpass their opponents who were at the same level as them. The night was getting darker, and the Emerald Martial Palace was in a dead silence. In the morning, Yi Chen and the others immediately bid farewell and came to the entrance of the Emerald Martial Palace. Swoosh! He blew a whistle that contained his Zhenqi. The wind vulture, which was standing on a mountain not far away, flew over at an extremely high speed and landed in front of the 5 of them. Getting on the vulture, the head elder said in a deep voice, "On our way back, we need to rest and store up our strength, and prepare for the upcoming battle." Luo Hanshan was shocked and asked, "Head elder, what happened?" The 4th elder shook his head and responded, "Don't ask too much, maybe we have been worrying too much." Hearing this, Yi Chen, Luo Hanshan and Luo Hanshan's eyes flashed with a strange light. Did something big happen? Last night, the leader of the Emerald Martial Palace had called them to the banquet because of this. The wind vulture flew into the clouds, its speed instantly broke through the sound barrier, and flew away at lightning speed. In the afternoon, the wind vulture was already around 20,000 miles away from the Emerald Martial Palace. A strange bug brushed past the wind vulture, which attracted Yi Chen's attention. Soon, a few more bugs were discovered. Perhaps it was because the wind vulture was too fast and those bugs were relatively small, neither the head elder nor the 4th elder noticed them. When the 9th bug was discovered, Yi Chen couldn't help but ask, "Head elder, what's wrong with these bugs?" The head elder turned around and took a glance at Yi Chen. Seeing that he didn't seem to be joking, he hurriedly stopped the wind vulture, looked around, and immediately found a chopstick-shaped bug. "Come here." The head elder waved his hand, and that chopstick-shaped bug was sucked into the head elder's hand without any resistance. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The bug was around 4 inches long, slim and black, with 4 pairs of thin black wings on its back. Its head was a round ball, which was filled with compound eyes, which made it look extremely creepy and scary. At this moment, the chopstick-shaped bug was struggling in the head elder's hand, trying to break through the Zhenqi barrier and fly out. With a single glance, the head elder and the 4th elder's faces darkened. The 4th elder said word by word, "4-winged black demon bug." Luo Hanshan was shocked. Is this the 4-winged black demon bug that was raised by the ghost artist, one of the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 evil cult? It said that this bug is extremely fast, and can be used as a spy. Although it's small, it's as powerful as a 3rd-grade demon beast. He was the son of the leader of the Sky Cloud Martial School, and he knew quite a lot about the 9 evil cult's annihilation. Therefore, he immediately realized what was going on once he heard the name of the chopstick-shaped bug. Indeed, prepare for battle. Our every move is under the enemy's surveillance, they should be not far from here. The head elder shouted. Chapter 134. Before the head elder's voice faded, a swooshing noise came from afar. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 silhouettes stood above the clouds, their bodies rising and falling along with the airflow. Ha ha, 5 of us, not one less. All 3 of them were wearing black robes with golden edges and cloaks, which were embroidered with evil ghost patterns. At this moment, the middle-aged man in black robes, who seemed to be the leader, glared at the 3 of them and let out a cruel laugh. The head elder knew that these 3 people must be the ghost guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, but he still yelled, "Who are you?" "The ones who will kill you." The middle-aged man in black robes on the left pulled out his long blade and launched a hack. Puff! The clouds were torn apart, and a gigantic, grey blade chi, which was tens of meters long, flashed across the sky and appeared in front of the wind vulture. Bastard. The head elder's long hair and beard fluttered in the air as he pointed his finger out. Puff. The blade chi was penetrated by the finger power and shattered. Sky-burning palm. The fourth elder couldn't wait anymore. He raised his red-hot, iron-like palm and launched a hack, evaporating the clouds. Kill. The middle-aged man in black robes, who seemed to be the leader of the group, made his move. He pressed his right hand in the air and released a tens of meters long, grey, gigantic palm made of Zhen Qi. Not only did it shatter the fourth elder's palm power, it also moved towards the Wind Vulture and Yi Chen's group like a dark cloud. The head elder was fighting against another man in the air. Seeing the sky turn dark, he immediately knew what was going on. He calmly stepped on the Wind Vulture's back and let it descend into the clouds. The gigantic palm made of Zhen Qi almost grazed the Wind Vulture's body and shattered the clouds in that area. Shockwaves spread out in all directions, stirring up the sea of clouds. Where do you think you're going? The man in black robes, who hadn't joined the fight yet, swooped down from the clouds and blocked the Wind Vulture's way. The head elder's face darkened. He controlled the Wind Vulture and swooped down, trying to fight the man on the ground. A fierce gale roared, and the ant-sized mountains on the ground quickly enlarged. When the Wind Vulture was still thousands of meters away from the ground, a gigantic palm made of Zhen Qi swooped down at an even faster speed. The Wind Vulture was indeed a fifth-level beast. It flapped its wings and sped up once again, drawing an arc in the air and barely dodging the gigantic Zhen Qi palm. At last, the Wind Vulture successfully landed on a mountain peak that was flat and stable. The three of you, don't split up. Han Shan, release the Silver Light Thunderbolt bomb at the critical moment. The Great Elder ordered as he stomped on the ground. Lu Hanzhan nodded seriously, then said to Yi Chen and Xu Jing, "Don't worry, we'll just stand aside and watch. They can't do anything to us." Yi Chen, on the other hand, was not too worried. The sect had given them a lot of life-saving treasures when they went on such a long journey. As for the Silver Light Thunderbolt bomb that the Great Elder mentioned, although he had never heard of it before, it was definitely not an ordinary item for the Great Elder to value it so much. Boom! The mountain peak shook. The Great Elder and the middle-aged man in black robes had already started fighting. Both of them were powerful late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists. Every single move of theirs could shake a mountain. Some beasts that were startled by the fight were smashed into meat paste by the fierce chi of the two of them before they could even run away. On the other side, the fourth elder and the Wind Vulture were fighting against the other two middle-aged men in black robes. Although the fourth elder was not as powerful as the Great Elder, he was still a late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and the martial skill he had used was a mid-rank Earth realm palm art, the sky-burning palm, which was able to burn everything in its path. The Wind Vulture was only as powerful as a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, which was not as powerful as the fourth elder, but it had a super-fast speed, which allowed it to keep the fourth elder occupied. The fight between the five of them and the beast had nothing to do with Yi Chen and the other two. Lu Hanzhan sighed and said, "The Ghost Corpse Mountain couldn't wait any longer. It seems that the ghost artist's recovery time is getting closer and closer." The ghost artist. Yi Chen and Xu Jing both looked at Lu Hanzhan. Lu Hanzhan explained, "Once upon a time, there was a powerful martial institution in the South Shui region, called the Nine Ghost Cult. The Nine Ghost Cult had 108 ghost warriors under its leadership, and the ghost artist was one of them. Later on, the Nine Ghost Cult became more and more ambitious. They wanted to unify the entire South Shui region and enslave all the other martial institutions. As a last resort, all the other martial institutions joined hands and started a war against the Nine Ghost Cult, which lasted for years. 20 years ago, the Nine Ghost Cult was finally wiped out. All the powerful martial artists of the Nine Ghost Cult were either killed or escaped. The ghost artist's injury should have been caused by that time. How could such a thing happen? Yi Chen had never heard anything about the Nine Ghost Cult. Of course, this had something to do with his experience. Many people in the martial world might have heard about it. However, this Nine Ghost Cult was way too powerful. It was able to fight against all the martial institutions in the South Shui region by itself. It must be at least rank 5. Yi Chen was shocked. Xu Jing asked, "How is the ghost artist's power?" Lu Hanshan gave a bitter smile and responded, he was at the late astral reaching realm when he was at his peak, and now he should be at the early astral reaching realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to wipe out the evil Earth Martial School in one night. Hearing him, both Xu Jing and Yi Chen gasped silently. A late astral reaching realm martial artist. A martial artist at this level could easily destroy a 1,000-jong-tall mountain with a single move, while a clasping Yuan realm martial artist could only destroy a 100-meter-tall mountain. The two of them were not even on the same level. If the ghost artist recovered his full power, not to mention a single martial institution, even if all 5 of the top martial institutions joined hands, they might not be able to escape the fate of being wiped out. The power gap between them was way too huge, and couldn't be made up by numbers. Heavenly Ghost Seal. Purple Light Finger. High up in the air, a hill-sized, grey-black Shen-Qi hand clashed against a thin and long beam of purple light. The air was instantly pushed apart like waves, and the aftermath of the collision was powerful enough to kill an ordinary early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. As for condensing reality realm martial artists, they would all be killed. Right at this moment, Yi Chen sensed a slight swishing sound coming from all directions. Someone is coming. The 3 of them stood on top of a mountain and looked down. Soon, they saw hundreds of black dots gathering towards this mountain at an extremely high speed. Let's fight. Lu Hanshan seemed to be very calm. After about 10 blinks of an eye, the first man in black appeared on top of the mountain. His Zhen-Qi vibration was very strong. He was an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Kill. He gave a vicious grin, then rushed towards the 3 of them without any hesitation. Lu Hanshan shook his head, flicked his wrist and threw out a silver iron bomb, which swished across the air and bumped against the protective Zhen-Qi of the man in black. Boom. A scorching silver lightning bolt burst out, and the man in black was instantly blown into pieces, leaving a 10-meter deep pit on the ground. Yi Chen popped out his eyes. Silver Light Thunderbolt Bomb is way too powerful. An early clasping Yuan realm martial artist didn't even have a chance to fight back before he was blown into pieces. In other words, with a few Silver Light Thunderbolt Bombs, an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist could be killed within a second. Lu Hanshan said coldly, "We don't have many Silver Light Thunderbolt Bombs. After we kill the more powerful ones, we'll take care of the rest." That's exactly what I wanted. Xu Jing was already itching to join the fight. Soon, another 2 men in black rushed up. They were also early clasping Yuan realm martial artists. After all, only those with higher cultivation could fly in the front, while those with lower cultivation stayed behind. Boom, boom, boom. Explosive sounds of the Silver Light Thunderbolt bombs rose one after another. Except for 1 man in black who was quick enough to dodge, all the other men in black had the same ending. They all died without even leaving a complete corpse. The man in black who had dodged was also hit by the aftermath of the explosion of the Silver Light Thunderbolt bomb and lost one of his legs. Great Monument Heavenly King Fist. Lu Hanshan's eyes shone brightly as he threw out a punch. The gigantic Zhen-Qi fist gripped the purple monument and crushed that badly wounded man in black to death. Blood mist spread out in the air. At this moment, Lu Hanshan's killing intent was completely released. He was no longer as gentle as before, he now looked like a god of slaughter. One after another, the other men in black rushed up the mountain. Pop! Pop! 2 fiery halos appeared behind Xu Jing's head. She stomped on the ground and cracked it open. With each punch, she killed 2 late condensing reality realm men in black. Yi Chen wasn't slow either. He performed the sky cloud sword art together with the sword intent. His thick sword chi was almost like a cutting machine. Wherever the sword chi reached, the men in black would be cut in half, their intestines and internal organs spilled out, then turned into blood mist by the aftermath of the sword chi. Little brat, you're courting death. 2 peak-level late condensing reality realm men in black robes flashed and surrounded Yi Chen. They were much more powerful than ordinary men in black robes. They were no weaker than the number 1 inner disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace, Cheng Jun. But of course, after reaching the late condensing reality realm, Yi Chen didn't see these men as weak opponents anymore. He didn't say a word. Instead, he used the sky cloud sword art together with the crane shadow steps, and dashed between the 2 men like a misty cloud. Puff! Puff! Two men's heads suddenly flew into the air, blood gushed out from their necks. Kill! 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 More and more men in black robes appeared on the mountain. Among them were ordinary men in black robes, some were as powerful as Cheng Jun. There were even one or two child-to-be level men in black robes. Fortunately, all of the clasping Yuan realm men in black robes had been killed by Lu Hanshan's silver light thunderbolt bombs. Otherwise, even if the three of them managed to resist for a while, they wouldn't be able to survive. Top heaven. Facing the great pressure, Xu Jing finally burst out her hidden power. She activated the 9th level of the Golden 3 Realm Art, and a dazzling fiery halo appeared behind her head. It was half the size of a human, shining with a golden light, making her look like a female warrior from the ancient times. Three men in black robes, who wanted to sneakily attack Xu Jing, didn't even have the time to react before they were killed by Xu Jing's fierce fist power. Their backs even exploded. The power of the 9th level of the Golden 3 Realm Art was unimaginably powerful. Lu Hanshan had also activated the extreme purple art to the 9th level. A stream of purple chi appeared behind his back, extending into the air like a bridge, increasing his fighting power. At this moment, he launched the Great Monument Heavenly King Fist, which made him almost invincible. Wherever he went, all the men in black robes would be killed without being able to fight back. Even a child-to-be level man in black robes was knocked back by Lu Hanshan's 3 punches. Yi Chen's Zhen Qi cultivation was not as good as the other two, but he had the pure jade body boosting spell. Half a month ago, he had already reached the 5th level of the spell, the golden jade body. With only the defensive power of his body, even those child-to-be level men in black robes would not be able to hurt him. However, he still felt that it was not enough, so he activated the pure Zhen Qi to protect himself, which meant that he now had 2 layers of defense, one inside and one outside. Chapter 135. Puff. One of the black-clothed man held a long blade and hacked on the protective chi layer, causing the protective chi layer to dim down. Yi Chen didn't even turn his head around, he only swung the hidden cloud sword backwards. The sword chi released from the sword immediately cut off the black-clothed man's head and sent it flying in all directions. Kill this little bastard, he has mastered the half-step sword intent, we can't let him live. Indeed, kill him, the Ghost General will definitely reward us, maybe he will teach us even more advanced martial skills. Kill. The 3 of them had killed nearly 20 black-clothed men, but the number of black-clothed men on the mountaintop had increased. Almost every second, 2 or 3 black-clothed men would rush up to the mountaintop and join the battle. 7 or 8 of them had their eyes fixed on Yi Chen, their eyes were shining with a grey light and filled with a strong killing intent. Corpse King Fist. 10 flashes of Ghost Shadow. Crazy Devil Blade Art. Ghost God Grab. All of the black-clothed men released waves of fierce chi, attacking towards Yi Chen. Yi Chen took a step forward, creating a few huge cracks on the ground. He raised the hidden cloud sword high with his right hand, slightly prepared himself, then swung it down. Limitless Cloud. Puff. The thick sword chi cut apart all of those fierce chi waves, but the remaining power of the sword chi didn't disappear, it flashed through the group of black-clothed men. Puff, puff, puff. The bodies of the 3 black-clothed men who were standing in the middle of the group were suddenly torn into pieces and scattered on the ground. The other black-clothed men were also affected by the sword chi, their protective Zhen Qi was shattered and blood spurted out of their mouths. All devils fall. On the other side, Xu Jing had used all of her Zhen Qi. She shook both of her fists and sent out a bright golden light. All of the black-clothed men within a 5-jong radius started vomiting blood and fell on the ground, none of them could stand up again. Great Monument Suppression. Seeing more and more men in black, Luo Hanshan finally gave up on consuming his Zhen Qi. Purple smoke burst out from his body, while he clasped his hands together and smashed down. Instantly, a 10-meter-tall purple monument smashed down, smashing 4 men in black into pieces. A faint purple shockwave spread out and sent all the other men in black flying away, vomiting blood. High up in the sky, the eyes of the leader of the black-robed men were about to burst into flames when he saw this scene. He slapped the air with his palm, and a huge grayish-black hand of Zhenqi that was dozens of meters wide covered a small half of the mountain. It enveloped Yi Chen and the other black-robed men, wanting to kill them all. Ah! Run! The black-robed men on the mountain peak felt as if their minds were being torn apart. They flew in all directions like birds and beasts. Rumble! The ground sank by 3 feet. Most of the black-clothed men failed to escape. They were smashed into blood mist by the pressure of the Zhenqi giant hand, and not even their bones were left. Yi Chen and the other 2 were bleeding from their 7 apertures. They were overwhelmed with shock. This palm strike was launched from over 1,000 meters away. Before it even landed, they were already unable to withstand it. If it had landed, they would have died. At this moment, Lu Hanshan roared out in anger. Break! A long and sized crystal ball appeared in his hand. It was completely transparent, and contained a bright red light. At first glance, one would even think that the crystal ball was blue. Being injected with his Zhenqi, the crystal ball was shattered. In the next moment, the red light dazzled and formed a 1-foot-thick, semicircular light shield around the 3 of them. Streams of air had been rotating inside the shield. Boom! The gigantic Zhenqi giant hand pressed on the light shield, causing a creaking noise. It seemed that the light shield would shatter at any moment and turn the 3 of them into meat paste. However, the light shield eventually lasted, and gradually destroyed the gigantic Zhenqi giant hand. What is this? A strange look flashed across Yi Chen's eyes. The long and sized red crystal ball taken out by Lu Hanshan was almost exactly the same as his blue crystal ball, except for its color. His blue crystal ball was given to him by Yi Hai. Could it be that the red crystal ball and the blue crystal ball had the same origin, and both of them had the effect of shattering the light shield? What was the name of the crystal ball? Did Yi Hai know about its effect? All of a sudden, many thoughts flashed across Yi Chen's mind, but he didn't ask Lu Hanshan about it. Seeing that his attack did not kill the 3 of them, a shocked expression flashed across the middle-aged man's face. With his late clasping Yuan realm cultivation, even from 1,000 meters away, he could easily kill 3 early clasping Yuan realm martial artists with a single attack, not to mention 3 late condensing reality realm martial artists. However, that layer of light shield that appeared later was way too powerful. It had forcibly destroyed the huge Zhenqi palm, making him fail. Purple light paradise. The head elder was still scared. If he had been killed by the mysterious man just now, he wouldn't even know how to explain to the leader of the school. Fortunately, Lu Hanshan had quite a lot of treasures with him, which helped him survive. Thinking of this, the head elder activated his Zhenqi and shot out a purple beam of light. The middle-aged man in black robes paused slightly, but fortunately, he reacted fast enough. He moved his body 3 feet to the side and dodged that purple beam of light. Puff! A thumb-sized hole appeared on the mountaintop, which was immeasurably deep. 90% of the power of the light shield had been consumed when it was fighting against the gigantic Zhenqi giant hand. After a while, the light shield became thinner and thinner, turning into pure Yuan Qi and merging with the air. Lu Hanshan wiped the sweat off his forehead. What happened just now was way too dangerous. Fortunately, Luo Xinglia had given him a Yuan light ball before he came here. Yuan light ball was found in a part of the ruins of a super-powerful rank 5 martial institution, the puppet school, which was located 5,000 years ago, along with the method of making wooden puppets. Are you all right? Lu Hanshan turned around and asked. Yi Chen had a strong body. That palm attack had only squeezed out wisps of blood from his eyes, nose, mouth, and ears, but hadn't injured him at all. Xu Jing was protected by the Golden 3 Realm Art, so she was also fine. That's good. Looking around, Yi Chen found that only a few of those men in black robes were still alive. Most of them had been smashed to death by the middle-aged man in black robes in the air. Of course, this was the best outcome for them, otherwise, it would be very troublesome to kill them all. After all, they were only late condensing reality realm warriors, and their Zhenqi was very limited. They could still fight for a short period of time, but if they fought for a long period of time, they would have problems. They did have some Zhenqi replenishing pills, and they had already taken quite a few of them. If they continued to take more, their Zhen-Qi would be greatly reduced, and it would also easily cause the Zhen-Qi to be mixed up. Therefore, they shouldn't take too many pills within a day. After killing the rest of the men in black robes, the three of them each took out a low-rank soul stone and started absorbing the yuan qi contained in it to replenish their own Zhen-Qi. Core. The fight between the Wind Vulture and the man in black robes was very fast, mainly because of the Wind Vulture's fast speed. The Wind Vulture circled around the man in black robes, trying to tear him apart with its claws. The man in black robes was able to deal with all kinds of attacks by remaining calm, and whenever he found a flaw, he would launch a thick blade qi, which nearly injured the Wind Vulture. No, this Wind Vulture is way too fast. By the time I launch my blade attack, it would have already increased the distance between us. If we keep fighting like this, we won't be able to finish it within a short period of time. The man in black robes had already seen what was happening on the mountain, and he knew that he had to make a decision. The blade qi attack failed again, and a fierce look flashed across the man's face. He stared at the Wind Vulture, and stood still in the air. The Wind Vulture flashed in the air for a few times, and after a few turns, it jumped towards the man from the left. It was as fast as a lightning bolt, and its speed was almost as fast as the speed of sound. Puff. This time, it was much easier than before. The Wind Vulture easily broke the man's protective Zhen-Qi, and the sharp tip of its claws had already pierced into the man's body. The man in black robes was about to be torn into pieces. Die. The man in black robes turned his body sideways and launched a blade attack on the Wind Vulture's body. Blood splashed down like a rain of blood. The Wind Vulture screamed in pain and fell down. Hehe, today is the day you die. The man in black robes didn't even have the time to launch another blade attack. Instead, he released his Zhen-Qi and arrived on the mountaintop within a few blinks of an eye. Great monument suppression, shocking cloud limitless, all devils fall. A gigantic purple monument, a thick stream of sword qi, and a dazzling golden light, all three attacked towards the man in black robes simultaneously. It was Yi Chen and the other two who had launched the attack. The moment they launched the attack, they quickly stepped back. It's useless. The man in black robes slightly waved his long blade, and the purple monument was broken into pieces, the sword qi was shattered, and the golden light dissipated. The man in black robes didn't even have the slightest power to fight back. However, this was all part of their plan. Not knowing when, 4 silver iron balls appeared around the man in black robes. Each of these silver balls had a faintly discernible thread of Zhen-Qi connected to Lu Hanshan's body. Boom! Along with Lu Hanshan's growl, 4 silver lightning bolts dazzled simultaneously and wrapped the man in black robes up, eventually forming a gigantic silver lightning ball. The lightning ball was thickly covered with silver snakes, letting out a sizzling noise. Even from a long distance away, Yi Chen could feel his fine hair standing straight up and his scalp going numb. It turned out that Lu Hanshan had already thrown 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs on the mountaintop, forming a large square formation. Afterwards, he and the other two were also in the middle of the square formation. In case someone attacked, they could retreat in time and launch a fatal attack. However, they didn't expect that the man in black robes would attack first. This man was slightly weaker than the other two, he was at the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm. His opponent was the Wind Vulture. Except for its great speed, it obviously couldn't do any harm to the man in black robes. Instead, it was set up by the man in black robes and was badly injured, falling down from the mountaintop. Silver light thunderbolt bombs can kill peak-level early condensing reality realm martial artists and injure mid-condensing reality realm martial artists. Although I've set up 4 of them, they are still too far away. I don't think they will be able to kill him. I should be careful. Lu Hanshan looked very cautious. He had already used up the last 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs. If they still couldn't kill the man in black robes, then he would have to risk his life. His Zhen-Qi surged out of his body, he was ready for a great fight. The 3 fiery rings behind Xu Jing's head grew even brighter, and her eyes looked even sharper. At the same time, Yi Chen had already concentrated all of his power and qi into a single point. He was planning to launch a fatal attack on the man with the heart refining. He believed that the man in black robes wouldn't be injured by the explosion of 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs. As long as the man was injured, Yi Chen's, heart refining, would definitely be able to further injure him, maybe even kill him with a single attack. Pop! The silver lightning ball shattered, revealing the man in black robes. His entire body was scorched black, the color of his skin could no longer be seen. Cyan smoke was still rising from some of the large wounds on his body, along with the smell of grilled meat. Bastard! I want you to die without a proper burial. The man in black robes slightly moved his body, then he tried to spurt out blood from his mouth, but the blood seemed to have been evaporated by the electric current, only a puff of white smoke came out. He raised his head and stared at the three people with his devil-like blood-red eyes. Chapter 136. Puff. The first one to launch the attack was Yi Chen. He wielded his sword and released a thick stream of sword chi, which transformed into a beam of white light and instantly hit the assassin's body. However, this sword attack only left a bone-deep mark on the assassin's body, but failed to penetrate deep. A layer of blood-red light emerged from under the assassin's skin, which not only blocked the sword chi from penetrating into his body, but also destroyed the sword chi in a flash. Then came Xu Jing's devil-suppressing fist power. The dazzling golden light struck on that layer of blood-red light like a waterfall, causing muffled popping noises. East rising purple chi, great monument suppression, the bridge-like purple mist poured into his body. Lu Hanshan growled out, clasped his hands together and smashed towards the assassin. Instantly, the gigantic monument, which was shining with a purple light, suddenly pressed down, seeming to shatter the blood-red light and shatter the assassin into pieces. Bang! However, the purple monument was the one that shattered in the end. The black-clothed swordsman's scorched skin started to crack, and a bloody light came out from the cracks. It was rich and red, like the magma underground. It was abnormally eye-catching. The purple stele was hit by the bloody light and immediately melted, turning into pure yuan qi. At this moment, two beams of blood-red light darted out from the assassin's eyes. He grinned viciously and said, "Let's die together." The blood devil body separating magic. Rumble. The thunderous sound was not made by the assassin, instead, it was the sound of the mountain collapsing. It turned out that after the explosion of the 4 silver light thunderbolt bombs, the area where the assassin was standing was already showing signs of breaking. Then, after being struck by the sword chi, the fist power and the purple monument, the mountain finally broke, falling down the mountain along with the assassin, disappearing within a blink of an eye. In the next moment, a thunderous sound came out, and the mountain, which was supposed to be stable, tilted to one side. Obviously, it was broken by the assassin's self-explosion. How powerful was that? Fortunately, all three of them knew how to fly for a short period of time, so they leapt up into the air. The three of them looked down. The mountain had collapsed, the airflow was chaotic, and countless broken rocks had completely buried the assassin, forming a small hill-sized pile of rocks. So dangerous. I didn't think that he had also learned the blood devil body separating magic. Lu Hanshan was still a little scared. Yi Chen said, "Daoist Master Blood Demon is also one of the ghost generals of the 9 evil cult. Indeed, Master Blood Demon is ranked even higher than Corpse Man among the 108 ghost warriors of the 9 ghost cult. 50 years ago, he was a core disciple of the evil blood martial school. Later on, he left the evil blood martial school and joined the 9 ghost cult. His power is world-shaking, and he is called Master Blood Demon." Yi Chen had already become numb to the power of the 9 ghost cult. Just 108 ghost warriors were already this powerful, so there must be even more powerful leaders above them. However, he did not know how many of them had died, and how many of them had survived. He also did not know if those who had survived were like the Corpse Man, trying to make a comeback. Retreat. Seeing that the black-clothed bladesman was dead, the black-clothed leader knew that he could not do anything to the Flowing Cloud sect. He knocked back the first elder with a palm strike and shouted coldly at another person. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two of them were extremely powerful. Although they couldn't defeat the first elder and the fourth elder, it was still very easy for them to escape. In the blink of an eye, they were already several miles away. The fourth elder was about to give chase, but was stopped by the first elder. Don't chase a cornered enemy, not to mention that even if you catch up with them, you won't be able to do anything to them. Great, these two should be the top-grade ghost guards of the Ghost Corpse Mountain, right? The fourth elder had been fighting for a long time, his blood was boiling, he couldn't wait to start another fight. The first elder said, on the 8th of August, there will be a lot of fights, I'm just afraid that you might get bored. How come? The two of them flashed across the air and arrived next to Yi Chen and the other two. Seeing the three of them safe and sound, the first elder let out a sigh of relief, nodded and said, not bad, being able to survive such a dangerous fight, when we go back, we will definitely be able to reach a higher level. Lu Hanshan asked, First Elder, what is going on? Is the Ghost Corpse Mountain preparing to launch an attack on those top-grade institutions? The First Elder said, Not yet, I think they are just trying to weaken the powers of those institutions. However, we don't know how long this situation can last. Perhaps, in 1 or 2 years, the corpse man will be able to recover his peak power, and that will be the time when the war starts. 1 or 2 years, it's too urgent. Lu Hanshan frowned. The fourth elder grinned and said, even if the sky falls down, there will always be someone taller to hold it up. The Emerald Martial Palace is even more anxious than us. Not to mention, no matter how powerful the Ghost Corpse Mountain is, we don't have to be afraid of them. Every top-grade institution has a great elder who is in a life-or-death training. Once the institution faces a crisis, they will definitely come out. Great elder. Yi Chen's heart skipped a beat. Judging from the fourth elder's tone, he seemed to be even more powerful than the leader of the institution. Wasn't that an astral-reaching realm martial artist? No wonder the Ghost Corpse man didn't dare to offend the 5 top-grade institutions, and was even hiding in the shadows. He must be afraid that the great elders of those top-grade institutions would come and hunt him down. The few of them didn't forget about the Wind Vulture, they started to search for it together. Next to a pile of rocks, the Wind Vulture was lying on the ground, with a horrifying blade wound on its body. It was bleeding profusely. At the moment, it was trying to stand up, but the wound was way too severe. The head elder sighed, he took out tens of bottles of medicine from his storage ring, unplugged the corks and activated his Jin Qi. He mixed the bottles of medicine together and sprinkled them evenly on the Wind Vulture's wound. Visibly, the bleeding stopped, and the flesh and blood began to wriggle, as if they were going to merge together. We shouldn't stay here for long. Let's find a place to settle down first. The institution will send another Wind Vulture to pick us up. While talking, the storage ring on the head elder's finger flashed with a dim light, and a wooden crow appeared in his hand. The crow was made from hundreds of pieces of black wood, and looked very lifelike. Its eyeballs were like soybean-sized gems, shining brightly. Crack. The head elder pressed some kind of button, and a hole appeared on the crow's belly, which seemed to be a groove. A milky white soul stone was stuffed into the crow's belly by the head elder. If Yi Chen guessed it right, this must be a precious mid-rank soul stone, which was equal to 50 low-rank soul stones. The wooden crow's eyes shone with a red light, it flapped its wings and flew towards the Sky Cloud Martial School. Seeing Yi Chen's expression, the head elder smiled and explained, this is a puppet crow, one of the creations of the Puppet Martial School, which was a rank 5 institution 5,000 years ago. It can travel over 30,000 miles a day, only a little bit slower than the Wind Vulture. Its power source is soulstones, but they must be mid-rank soulstones. Low-rank soulstones can't support it for long. Can it know the way? Yi Chen asked. The head elder shook his head and responded, this is confidential, I can't tell you. The group of people settled down in a city thousands of miles away. 3 days and 4 nights later, people from the Sky Cloud Martial School arrived, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 of them. A large group of inner elders rode on 4 Wind Vultures. They boarded the Wind Vultures and headed for the Sky Cloud Martial School that very night. Under the waterfall, a man was sitting on a huge rock with his legs crossed. The man's upper body was naked, and his muscular back was as straight as a sword, full of indescribable sharpness. No matter how hard the waterfall slammed on his back, it couldn't make him bend even a little bit. Rumble. The sound of the waterfall seemed to be getting louder and louder, it even resounded for miles. Right at this moment, the man raised his right arm. He didn't seem to use much of his strength, but the waterfall suddenly rose up into the sky, forming a huge water sword, shining with a colorful light under the sunlight. It was dazzling. Go! With a cold shout, the huge water sword pierced towards the mountain next to him. Crack! A huge hole was created on the solid mountain, and the huge water sword also shattered into pieces, turning back into water and gushing out of the hole. Phew! The man slowly let out a breath, turned around and stood up. It was Yi Chen. He smiled. It had been a couple of days since he had returned to the Sky Cloud Martial School. During these days, he didn't do anything but cultivate under the waterfall. Today, he had finally made a breakthrough. Originally, with his cultivation, he wouldn't be able to turn a waterfall into a huge water sword. He would need to be at least a clasping Yuan realm martial artist to do so, because only clasping Yuan realm martial artists could have such a great amount of Jin Qi. However, with the help of his half-step sword intent, which was infinitely close to the sword intent, he had succeeded. After a while, the smile on Yi Chen's face disappeared, and he let out a long sigh. Learning the sword intent is way more difficult than I thought. Without any opportunities, I would probably be stuck in this level for a long time. I really don't know how I can learn it. Yi Chen could almost feel the existence of the sword intent. It was like a great sword in the room, and all he needed to do was to open the door curtain slightly, then he would be able to go in and take the sword out for his own use. However, although he could see the existence of the curtain and the great sword, he felt like he was in a dream, as he could not touch the curtain at all. Every time he tried to touch the curtain, he would only touch the air. The more impatient he was, the harder it would be to touch it. Sometimes, Yi Chen even thought that it was an illusion, and that he was not actually close to the sword intent. However, he denied it. Although the mirror flower water moon was an illusion, there was no real flower and moon, so how could it be real? Although he couldn't learn the sword intent, Yi Chen wasn't disappointed. Some things couldn't be begged for. When the time was right, it would naturally appear in front of him. Of course, other than the problem of the sword intent, everything else went smoothly. In these few days, Yi Chen had not only stabilized his late condensing reality realm cultivation, he had also completely digested all the experience he had gained in the past few days and turned it into his own fighting power. The Sky Cloud Sword Art, the Tyrant Fist Art and the Crane Shadow Steps, these three martial arts that he had been using for a long time had been upgraded to the next level. He could now use them as he pleased, without any restrictions. Now, even if Yi Chen didn't use the one sword art, he could still fight against Shapotian, who had trained two powerful martial arts. This was undoubtedly a huge improvement. Shapotian was a well-known child-level martial artist. Being able to fight against him meant that Yi Chen's pure power had also reached the child level. He was almost at the peak of the young generation in the Windy Nation. If he used the one sword art, perhaps only young Master North Snow, young Master Duanmu and Fast Blade Lynch would be able to compete with him. Of course, it would be best if he didn't use the one sword art. After all, his own power was the most important thing. Chapter 137. Ah, Brother Yi, we didn't know you were here. Just as Yi Chen was thinking, three female disciples appeared not far away. They were all about 13 or 14 years old, looking very energetic. Seeing Yi Chen's naked upper body, they immediately turned their heads away with blushing faces. Yi Chen forced a smile. In his world, a naked man was not a big deal, but this world was different. His storage ring shone with a dim light, and clean clothes appeared in his hand. After putting on the clothes, Yi Chen asked, "Are you looking for a place to train?" "Yeah. Brother Yi, why are you taking a bath here?" The round-faced female disciple was the cutest among them. She was the only one who did not turn her head away, but the other two covered her eyes. "I am training. If you don't mind, I will let you have this place." After saying that, Yi Chen jumped up and landed on top of the waterfall. After a couple of flashes, he disappeared without a trace. "Haha, I told you that Brother Yi is a nice guy, but you didn't believe me. Hehe, Brother Yi has a nice body, and he is very powerful." Sister disciples, why did Brother Yi run away? Going to the floating cloud palace once every 3 days had become a habit of Yi Chen's. Actually, he did not have to take on a mission every time he went there, but he could see some of the big and small things happening in the Windy Nation from the mission list, which was much better than not knowing what was going on outside. Passing by the ranking jade wall, Yi Chen turned his head to take a look. His name was still the first on the third row, and the first and second rows were the 24 core disciples. Of course, if he wanted to, he could become a core disciple anytime he wanted, and his ranking would be very high, at least in the top 4. However, he did not plan to do so yet, because he did not have much confidence in fighting against the hidden scent sword Zhu Mai, unless he performed the one-sword attack. If I can't become the number 1 core disciple, then there is no point. Shaking his head, Yi Chen was about to enter the floating cloud palace. Look, Brother Meng Chong is back. I heard that he took on a 3-star black rank mission this time. It seems like he has already completed it. Compared to the inner disciple ranking competition, senior brother Meng Chong has improved a lot. I wonder how he compares to senior brother Yi Chen. The surrounding inner disciples discussed among themselves, and their gazes were focused on Meng Chong, who had just returned. Meng Chong didn't care that he had become the center of attention. He said to Yi Chen, who was standing at the entrance of the floating cloud palace, "Let's fight on the Marshall Plaza. I hope you can improve." Yi Chen turned around. "As you wish." Not challenging others was one thing, but when someone came to challenge you, you generally wouldn't refuse. Furthermore, even if you refused, you had to have a good reason. Otherwise, if everyone refused, then what would be the point of the ranking jade wall? There would be no competition. As soon as he finished speaking, the surroundings boiled over. Senior brother Meng Chong is fighting against senior brother Yi Chen again. Shocking news. Quickly go inform the other senior brothers and junior brothers. It's been more than a month, and both senior brothers have improved. The duel will definitely be more exciting. It seems like senior brother Meng Chong doesn't plan to become a core disciple if he doesn't defeat senior brother Yi Chen. Soon, most of the Sky Cloud Martial School's inner disciples had heard about this news. Without saying anything, they immediately rushed to the Marshall Plaza. Within a short period of time, the Marshall Plaza was filled with thousands of people. Among them, 200 to 300 were inner disciples who didn't go to do any tasks. Outer disciples made up 80% of the crowd, and a few core disciples were also there. They all wanted to see how powerful Yi Chen and Meng Chong were. On the central platform, Yi Chen and Meng Chong slowly walked onto the platform. "I haven't seen you for more than a month. If your improvement is not obvious, then I am afraid you will lose to me." Meng Chong's aura was even more reserved. Yi Chen glanced at his opponent, shook his head and said, "You have indeed improved, but you are getting further and further away from me." "Huh." Meng Chong sneered, "You will know after the duel. You will take back your words." A gust of wind blew. Yi Chen's clothes and hair were fluttering in the wind. He said, "Let's begin." Chin. Taking out his long blade, Meng Chong stomped on the ground and flew towards Yi Chen like a lightning. Bloodlight. On his way, Meng Chong held his long blade with both of his hands and quickly waved it. Because of his fast speed, his arms seemed to have disappeared into the air. Only the blood-red blade light could be seen, covering the entire platform and completely sealing the space where Yi Chen was. He couldn't back out, he couldn't move forward, and he couldn't dodge. There was only one way left, which was to fight. So powerful. I wonder how senior brother Yi Chen is going to fight. I guess he will have to fight. If senior brother Meng Chong was as powerful as he is now, he would definitely be the number 1 inner disciple again. Of course, if he beats senior brother Yi Chen this time, he will still be the number 1 inner disciple. It can't be that easy. Senior brother Yi Chen has been to the Emerald Martial Palace, he has seen a lot of things. How could he not have improved? Most of the people still didn't know that Yi Chen had beaten Cheng Jun and Shapotian. Only those core disciples knew a little bit about it. Of course, in a day or two, Yi Chen's story would definitely be spread out. How big of a commotion would it cause? When the blood-red blade light reached its peak, Yi Chen threw out his sword. Shoo! No one saw how Yi Chen threw out his sword. They only saw a thin white line of sword chi flash across. Yi Chen's figure had already passed through the blood-red blade light and appeared behind Meng Chong. Dang! Swoosh! The long blade flew out of Meng Chong's hand and stabbed into a stone pillar. It was not over yet. Meng Chong's clothes had also been cut open. The cut was extremely small. Putting the hidden cloud sword back into its scabbard, Yi Chen said lightly, "Your blade skill is not bad. Unfortunately, I have already reached a higher level. You will not be able to compete with me anymore. Too powerful, way too powerful. I didn't even have the slightest chance to fight back. Even now, I, Meng Chong, am still not his opponent. I wouldn't have believed it before, but now I have no choice but to believe it, because it has already happened, and it happened to me." Meng Chong's heart was filled with shock. He stood there, stunned. Not only Meng Chong was stunned, all of the inner and outer disciples' eyes were blank, and their mouths were wide open, unable to close. Everyone was completely silent. When they came back to their senses, Yi Chen had already left the Martial Plaza. Damn! What did I just see? Senior brother Yi Chen beat senior brother Meng Chong with only one sword attack. How powerful does he have to be able to do that? What an overwhelming advantage. The gap is so huge. Among all the inner disciples, no one can threaten senior brother Yi Chen's position anymore. Just thinking about it makes my scalp numb. Senior brother Meng Chong beat the top 10 inner disciples with only one sword attack, but senior brother Yi Chen beat Meng Chong with only one sword attack. Hearing the inner disciples' discussions, the few core disciples who were watching the fight looked at each other. Time flew by like water. Another 20 days had passed. It was already August. During this time, Yi Chen had never stopped improving. His Zhenqi cultivation was getting closer to the peak of the late condensing reality realm, and was not far away from Lu Hanshan and the others. As for his sword skills, even he himself didn't know what level he had reached. Perhaps, he would only be able to find out if he fought against some child-level young martial artists. Compared to his personal improvement, something big had happened in the Windy Nation. One of the top 5 institutions, the Purple Sun Martial School, had a spy. This spy was an inner elder, but his real identity was actually a powerful warrior under the command of the Ghost Corpse Man. He had been hiding in the Purple Sun Martial School for 15 years, but recently, for some unknown reason, he had betrayed the Purple Sun Martial School and killed an inner elder and 3 outer elders, which had shocked all the powerful forces in the Windy Nation. Yi Chen didn't know what had happened, but the core members of all the institutions knew it clearly. The plan to encircle the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch on the 8th of August had failed, and the reason was because of that spy from the Purple Sun Martial School. He knew that they were going to encircle the Ghost Corpse Mountains branch, so he secretly sent a message to the Ghost Corpse Mountain. But he didn't expect that he would be discovered by another inner elder, and then a fight broke out between them. After that, 3 outer elders came to help, and 4 of them fought against one. However, this spy was indeed powerful. He killed all 4 of them within a short period of time. In the main hall of the Sky Cloud Martial School. At this moment, all the inner elders were discussing something else. "Leader, the Heavenly Dream Ancient region is about to open in October. We should also decide which disciples will participate in it, so that we can prepare in advance." The one who spoke was the 4th elder. Luo Xinglia glanced at the crowd and asked, "Do you have any good suggestions?" The head elder cleared his throat and said, "The Heavenly Dream Ancient region only opens once every 10 years, it's a rare opportunity. After each trial, nearly 1/10 of the young generation will step into the clasping Yuan realm, therefore, we have to send our best disciples. Of course, our Sky Cloud Martial School is only a rank 9 institution, we only have 4 quotas. Therefore, I think Zhu Mai and Luo Hanshan must go, plus Xu Jing." "What about the other one?" Someone frowned. The 4th elder said, "I think Yi Chen is a good choice." The head elder nodded, he had the same idea. Hearing him, a few inner elders immediately shook their heads. Although Yi Chen is very talented, and he has already comprehended the half-step sword intent, he is obviously not as powerful as the others. It doesn't make sense to let him go. You're right, the Heavenly Dream Ancient region is an ancient place, every quota is extremely precious, how can we waste it? We have to send the disciples who have the opportunity to break into the clasping Yuan realm. I think Dao Xiaofeng, who is ranked third among the core disciples, is a good choice. Jingju, who is ranked fourth, is also a good choice. The head elder glanced at the others and said, Dao Xiaofeng and Jingju are indeed good, but they are not the most talented ones. Even if they managed to step into the clasping Yuan realm, they would only be considered as elites. They would not be able to kill people who are at a higher level than them. However, Yi Chen has already comprehended the half-step sword intent. He will definitely be able to comprehend the true sword intent one day. Once he steps into the clasping Yuan realm, what do you think about his fighting power? This, the few who disagreed couldn't find any words to refute. At this moment, Luo Xinglia said, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is located in the desert between the 9 nations, hundreds of thousands of miles away from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Let's not waste any more time, let's leave in half a month. The quotas are Zhu Mai, Luo Hanshan, Xu Jing, and Yi Chen. Hearing the last 2 words, the fourth elder and the head elder glanced at each other and smiled. Chapter 138. The Emerald Martial Palace. In the meeting hall, Zhuang Qingxian, who was sitting on the head seat, pondered for a while, then said, Elder Lan, you mean we don't have to send our best disciples? Elder Lan was the head elder of the Emerald Martial Palace. He was already 80 years old. Although he was not very talented, he was still an indispensable pillar of the Emerald Martial Palace. However, in the recent 10 years, because of his old age, he had become more and more conservative. He was one of the few people who opposed the idea of the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region. Leader, our Emerald Martial Palace is now the dominator of the Windy Nation. We don't have to take the risk. The death rate in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is extremely high. 30 years ago, 645 disciples from the 9 nations went in, and only 450 came out. 20 years ago, 630 disciples went in, and only 370 came out. The death rate is getting higher and higher every year. I'm afraid that this time, more than half of the disciples will die. Hearing Elder Lan's words, those inner elders who were about to persuade Elder Lan all became silent. Indeed, it was a fact that the death rate in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region was very high. If the most talented disciples of the valley were sent into the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, if they were unlucky, more than half of them might die. To the Emerald Martial Palace, this would be a heavy blow. A radical inner elder stood up and said, Leader, Elder Lan, you can't say that. We can't be afraid of the high death rate. If I'm not wrong, the other 4 institutions will definitely send their best disciples there. As long as these disciples can come out alive, they will be much more powerful than before. They might even break through to the clasping Yuan realm. By then, the advantage of the younger generation of our Emerald Martial Palace will be gone. Elder Liu is right, it's time for the younger generation to see some blood. If there is an empty quota, I'm willing to send my nephew in. The Heavenly Dream Ancient Region only opens once every 10 years, it's a rare opportunity, we can't waste it. Among the disciples who survive in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, 10% of them will break through to the clasping Yuan realm, which means 30 out of 300 disciples will become clasping Yuan realm warriors. The second elder, who was standing next to Elder Lan, opened his mouth. Leader, I think we can make a compromise. The Emerald Martial Palace is a rank 7 institution, and we have 8 quotas. Out of the 8 quotas, we can send 4 of our best geniuses, and the remaining 4 can be sent to the Emerald Martial Palace. In this way, even if we lose a lot of people, we won't be hurt too badly. Hearing this, Zhuang Qingxian was a bit tempted. Since the Emerald Martial Palace was the overlord of the Windy Nation, there was indeed no need for them to put all their eggs in one basket. It would be best to have the best of both worlds. Then how do you think the quota should be allocated? Zhuang Qingxian asked. The second elder glanced at Elder Lan and said, Our head disciple, Zhuang Fei, has to go. He is an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He is powerful enough to compete with ordinary mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists. With him, the survival of our Emerald Martial Palace's disciples will be more guaranteed. As far as I know, The Rudra nation has the most clasping Yuan realm martial artists among the young generation, 4 of them. The White Mystery Nation and the Sky Serpent Nation have 3 each. The other 5 nations are the same as our Windy Nation, they all have 1 or 2 clasping Yuan realm martial artists. We have to be careful. At this moment, even Elder Lan nodded. Apparently, he agreed with the second elder. The second elder continued, Liu Wuxiang and Ji Shuian have to go as well, they have a great chance to step into the clasping Yuan realm. Shapotian hasn't fully recovered yet, he will stay in the Emerald Martial Palace. Liu Xian, who is ranked 5th among the core disciples, will go with the other 4 core disciples who are not in the top 10. Zhuang Qingxian was quite satisfied with the second elder's plan. He said, all right, the quota for the Heavenly Dream Ancient region has been decided, there is no need to discuss further. In the North Snow Martial Academy. In the conference hall. Xue Wuren held his hands behind his back and said, there is nothing to discuss about this. The 8 quotas must be given to the best disciples, I don't want to wait for another 10 years. Just like his blade skills, Xue Wuren was always decisive, he would never change his mind. Everyone smiled bitterly and left the hall. After a while, 8 young men walked in. The 3 in the lead were a gentle young man in a white robe, North Snow Fast Blade Lynch and Tyrant Blade Yu. Leader. All of them greeted him politely. Xue Wuren nodded and said, I didn't ask you to come here for any other reason, I just want you to know about the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, and what you should pay attention to. The gentle young man asked, Leader, is it true that the Heavenly Dream Ancient region cannot be seen with the naked eye? The Heavenly Dream Ancient region is located in a space crack, it is not open yet. Indeed, it cannot be seen with the naked eye, not even with the spiritual power. This time, when you enter the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, you should remember to stop while you're ahead, and focus on steadily improving your power. Don't be greedy, and don't become the target of everyone. You should know that an innocent man will get into trouble because of his treasures. If you have something that makes others jealous, you should either kill them immediately, or throw it away. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region had many treasures, such as magical weapons, natural medicines, and secret manuals. The reason why the 5 top-ranked institutions had become more and more powerful was because they would send a batch of disciples into the Heavenly Dream Ancient region every 10 years. After they came back, the number of treasures and secret manuals in their institutions would increase. Of course, they wouldn't just contribute to the institutions for free, the leaders of the institutions would reward them with spirit stones according to the value of those treasures. In the yard, Yi Chen was sitting under a tree with his legs crossed, without moving even a little bit. This tree was a common dark tree in the Windy Mountain, it had started to shed its leaves in July, and now it was already mid-September, its leaves were falling very fast. Even if it was only a slight breeze, 3 to 4 leaves would fall down. A couple of hours later, Yi Chen's hair and clothes were covered with dozens of withered leaves. From far away from the yard came a series of light footsteps, which were getting closer and closer. Is Yi Chen in? Excuse me, is Yi Chen in? Creak. The man called out for a few times, but no one responded, so he pushed open the door and walked in. The one who came in was an executor disciple, who used to be an inner disciple. According to the rules of the institution, if an inner disciple failed to step into the clasping Yuan realm before the age of 24, he or she would have to transfer to the steward's hall and become a fighting or non-fighting member of the institution. Of course, once an inner disciple stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, he or she could also become an outer elder, which was the most important thing. This executor disciple was about 25 years old, and was at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Compared to most of the inner disciples, he or she was quite powerful, almost as powerful as the top 10 inner disciples. Soon, he saw Yi Chen, who was sitting under the tree with his legs crossed, and slightly frowned. When a martial artist was cultivating, he or she was not allowed to be disturbed. If he or she was interrupted at a critical moment, the other party might even want to kill him or her. The executor disciple smiled helplessly, stood aside and waited, without making any sound. Whoosh, suddenly, a gust of wind blew across, and tens of withered leaves fell down, fluttering in the air. At this moment, Yi Chen opened his eyes, which were shining with a sharp light. When the executor disciple was about to say something, he saw an amazing scene. He saw Yi Chen glance at the fallen leaves in front of him, as if they had been cut by an invisible sharp blade. They suddenly split into two, two into four, four into eight, and all of a sudden, the leaves turned into dust. Sword intent, the legendary sword intent. The executor disciple screamed in his mind. Although he was just an ordinary executor disciple, it did not mean that he was not knowledgeable. Whether it was in the ancient books or by word of mouth, a sword artist who had mastered the sword intent could use invisible things to hurt people. For example, by giving a strand of sword intent to the air, it could be extremely lethal. Just now, Yi Chen had used his eyes to infuse the sword intent into the air in front of him and easily cut the leaves. "What's the matter?" Standing up, Yi Chen shook off the leaves on his body and asked. The executor disciple said respectfully, "Headmaster wants to see you." "Lead the way then." Yi Chen looked very calm. These days, his desire for the sword intent was not that urgent anymore. Every day, after he finished his training, he would sit under a big tree and meditate for a while. He would go into Taishu and forget about everything around him. Perhaps it was because of this kind of transcendent mentality that he had broken through the half-step sword intent and finally mastered the real sword intent that every sword artist dreamed of. No matter it was his aura or his soul, they had all been improved. As for what level he had reached, he was still not sure yet. "Yes," the executor disciple said with a humble tone. Normally, he did not need to flatter the inner disciples or the core disciples, but when facing Yi Chen, he naturally showed his respect. It was not surprising, after all, in this true spirit continent, powerful warriors were always respected. Even the most talented geniuses would have to show some respect in front of powerful warriors who were at a very high level. Otherwise, they would just be acting recklessly and could be killed at any time. Being led by the executor disciple, Yi Chen arrived at the lobby. In the lobby, Zhu Mai, Luo Hanshan, and Xu Jing were all there. Sitting next to them were some inner elders, and the leader of the school, Luo Xinglie, was sitting in the front seat. "Leader, elders." Yi Chen cupped his hands and bowed. Luo Xinglie nodded. "Tomorrow is the time to go to the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region. Before that, I want to tell you that the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region is very complicated. There might be palaces in the mountains, there might be tombs in the water, and there might even be treasures under the ground. There are countless ways to get in. Sometimes a big tree might be the entrance, sometimes you need to move a huge rock, sometimes you just need to jump down from the mountain. All in all, anything can happen in there. You have to stay calm and don't panic." "Yes." Yi Chen and the other three nodded. Luo Xinglie continued, "There are a lot of treasures in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, and countless secret manuals. Obviously, we can't ask you to contribute for nothing. Therefore, according to the value of the things you contribute, the school will give you a certain amount of spirit stones. For example, a top-ranked Mortal Realm secret manual can be exchanged for 50 low-ranked spirit stones, a low-ranked Earth Realm secret manual can be exchanged for 3,000 low-ranked spirit stones, a mid-ranked Earth Realm secret manual is extremely rare, even in the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region, it can be exchanged for 3,000 mid-ranked spirit stones. The same goes for other treasures and medicines. Of course, if you contribute those secret manuals to the school, you can still cultivate them yourself, but you can't teach them to others. Do you understand?" Understood. Although he knew that these things were worth a lot of spirit stones, Yi Chen was still shocked. It seemed like the school was going to spend a lot of money this time. However, the Heavenly Dream Ancient Region was not a playground, all the disciples from the 9 nations had gone in, so it was normal to kill each other, especially the disciples who had great treasures. They had to be extra careful. Chapter 139. Early the next morning, the group set off. This time, the escort team was especially large, consisting of 10 inner elders and 50 outer elders, riding on 8 wind eagles, piercing through the clouds. 3 days later, the wind eagles left the Windy Nation and reached the border of the Windy Nation. Outside the Windy Nation, there are always dangers, everyone be careful. The head elder activated his Jin Qi and shouted coldly. Yes. Some of the elders who had been to the South Shore region understood. The wind eagles were extremely strong and had a strong beast chi. Carrying 8 people on its back was like carrying nothing, but flying at a supersonic speed, any human body would feel tired. Normally, after 2 days, the head elder would find a place to rest and continue the journey the next day. Crack! Lightning bolts flashed across the sky like snakes. Above the layer of clouds, the wind vulture was flying calmly. It was a 5th-grade flying beast, and it was only allowed to fly during a thunderstorm. Not to mention that the heaven-shocking sky was over 10,000 meters away from them, and it wouldn't be a big deal if it was struck by some lightning bolts. Lu Hanshan raised his head and looked around, then laughed and said, "It is said that there are 3 layers of the sky. The first layer is called the shocking sky, which contains the 4 extreme yuan qi of thunder, water, fire, and wind. It is extremely violent. Only astral-reaching realm martial artists would be able to go up there. Above that is the second layer, the extreme void. Not even astral-reaching realm martial artists can go up there, only Sea of Souls realm martial artists can go up there. The top layer is called the top sky. Except for life and death realm martial artists, anyone who goes up there would only be death, even their souls would be destroyed. Absolute sky, extreme sky, top sky." Yi Chen glanced at Xu Jing and said, "Sister Xu Jing's Golden 3 Realm art should be based on these 3 layers of the sky, right?" Xu Jing responded blandly, "How can the Golden 3 Realm art compare with the 3 layers of the sky? It's just a name, it's far from comparable." Puff! A lightning bolt suddenly struck towards Yi Chen and the others, but was snuffed out by the head elder. He said, "As long as it's not in the absolute sky, these lightning bolts are not that powerful, don't worry. True Spirit Continent is indeed colorful. There are too many things I don't know." Yi Chen sighed inwardly. In the world he came from, thunder and lightning were horrifying to normal people. Anyone who was struck by a thunder and lightning would basically die. Plus, the thunder and lightning in that world were not even comparable to the thunder and lightning in this world. After all, the natural yuan qi in one world was extremely scarce, while the natural yuan qi in the other world was extremely rich. They were not even on the same level. But right now, a thunder and lightning had been easily destroyed by the headmaster. Below the clouds, it had already begun to rain. Everyone was above the clouds, so there was no need to worry about such things. The wind vulture flew for an unknown period of time, when the airflow in front of it suddenly became chaotic. Visible to the naked eye, a grey wind pillar fell straight down from above. Lightning flashed inside, and the figure in the center could be vaguely seen. Astral-reaching realm warrior, let's take a detour. The head elder's face suddenly changed. He commanded the windy vulture to take a detour, not daring to move forward directly. The wind pillar dissipated, and the lightning was extinguished. A figure suddenly appeared in front of everyone. It was a middle-aged man with sallow skin. He was of average height, and he wore a large blue robe. His long black hair flickered with electricity. He gave off an oppressive feeling, and no one dared to resist. "Who are you?" The head elder's face turned slightly pale. He cupped his hands and said respectfully, "Sorry for disturbing you, senior. I am the head elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School in the Windy Nation." Sky Cloud Martial School. The middle-aged man laughed, "So it is the martial school of that old bastard Cloud Dreamer. I am his old friend, you can call me Thunder Freer." Thunder Freer, what a powerful name, Yi Chen thought to himself. The head elder relaxed his face, "So it is you, Senior Thunder Freer. When I was young, I heard from the great elder that you were famous in the South Shore region with your great heavenly thunder magic." Thunder Freer rolled his eyes. That old bastard Cloud Dreamer always likes to exaggerate. What was I tens of years ago? Back then, the 9 evil cult was like the sun in the sky, I couldn't even escape. "Oh right, you are going to the scorching ancient desert, right? These few brats are not bad, you should train them well." Yi Chen and the other 3 were the best disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Except for the Emerald Martial Palace, they were not any weaker than the other 3 top-ranked martial institutions in the Windy Nation. Thunder Freer could see through them at first glance, he couldn't help but nod. "Thank you, Senior, we are indeed going to the scorching ancient desert. The Heavenly Dream Ancient region only opens once every 10 years, It's a rare opportunity. The head elder was quite old, while Thunder Freer looked like he was less than 50 years old. However, when he stood next to Thunder Freer, the head elder looked like a junior. Alright, I need to continue refining my Zhen Qi, you guys go on your way. Thunder Freer waved his sleeves, his body transformed into a bolt of lightning, shooting straight up into the sky, tearing a hole in the air. Crackle. The inside of the hole was bright and sparkling with thunder and lightning. Just looking at it made one's heart tremble with fear. Let's go. The head elder took a deep breath and activated the wind eagle under his feet. On the way, the head elder suddenly said, although Thunder Freer looks less than 50 years old, he is actually over 100 years old. The reason is very simple. If a martial artist who has stepped into the astral reaching realm doesn't have any problems, he can easily live up to 200 years old. Therefore, his real age is twice as old as his appearance. Is it really that hard to reach the next level? Thunder Freer is already over 100 years old, but he still hasn't reached a higher level. Yi Chen was a bit touched. There are countless martial artists on this true spirit continent, 99% of them are stuck below the clasping Yuan realm, and 99% of the rest are stuck below the astral reaching realm. It's extremely hard to reach a higher level. Of course, there are always exceptions, and there are always some extremely powerful martial artists in every generation. For them, reaching a higher level is as easy as eating or drinking water. For example, Xianhu is the only martial artist who managed to reach the life and death realm in the past 100 years. She is one of the most powerful martial artists in this generation. She became a queen within a few decades. She can even be called a legend. As for those martial geniuses who used to be on the same level as her, although they were not as powerful as her, most of them had already reached the Sea of Souls realm. Zhu Mai, who was wearing a robe embroidered with plum blossoms, laughed and said, "Talent is indeed important, but you also need to have a great adventure. Otherwise, no matter how talented you are, you will never be able to reach the top. Brother Yi, this heavenly dream ancient region is just a chance. If you have a great adventure, you might be able to save yourself many years of training." Yi Chen nodded in agreement. Zhu Mai was right. In order to reach a higher level, you must have a great adventure. In fact, adventures could be categorized as resources. Only with enough resources could you become stronger and stronger. Otherwise, once your potential ran out, you wouldn't be able to reach any higher than ordinary martial artists. In the boundless desert, the sun was shining brightly. The scorching heat had even twisted the air, and the sand was as smooth as a mirror. The scorching ancient desert has existed since the ancient time. The firepower in the air is extremely violent, and storms of firepower are often generated. We shouldn't stay in the clouds, let's go down. Once they reached the sky above the desert, the head elder ordered the 8 wind eagles to fly down into the clouds. Swoosh, 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 a scorching hot gale blew across. Even though they were protected by their protective Zhen Qi, they could still feel the heat. After all, this was only the edge of the scorching ancient desert, where the temperature was less than 1/10 of the central desert. One had to admit that sometimes, if one was unlucky, one could even drink cold water. After the wind eagles had flown for less than 500 miles, a wave of dazzling fiery light descended from the sky, enveloping the group of people. This is a storm of firepower, let's break it together. The head elder let out a growl, straightened his body, spread his feet as wide as his shoulders, took a deep breath, then poked his finger towards the sky, then drew a line in the air. Puff! A cloth-tearing noise came out, along with which, a storm of firepower was cut into two by a purple light beam, then scattered in the air. At this moment, the fourth elder didn't dare to move too much. He was a cultivator of firepower, which meant that he might be able to help the storm of firepower. Normally, he would be able to use it to fight against enemies, but right now, if he didn't do anything, the group of people might be turned into grilled meat. The other elders all launched their own attacks, sending out waves of fierce power towards the sky, stopping the storm of firepower from expanding, and gradually destroying it. Yi Chen had also launched a wave of fierce power, but what shocked him was that this wave of fierce power was evaporated before it could even get close to the storm of firepower. After breaking through the storm of firepower, the group of people were soaked in sweat and gasping for breath. The wind eagles down below didn't have a good time either. Some of their feathers had even been burnt, but luckily, they weren't hurt. The scorching ancient desert had a radius of 70 to 80,000 miles, much larger than the windy nation. It was said that in the ancient time, this desert was even larger, over 500,000 miles in radius. There was only one country in this desert, which was called the scorching ancient empire. However, the empire had been destroyed, and the desert had been shrinking year by year, until it became what it was now. From far away, the group of people had already seen a cyan beam of light piercing through the air, just like a pillar in the sky. The cyan beam of light has appeared. The heavenly dream ancient region will open in 3 days. Let's go find a place to camp first. The head elder had a great eyesight. He had already seen many people approaching the cyan beam of light. After a while, the wind eagles landed. Yi Chen raised his head. The cyan beam of light was as thick as a mountain. It was indeed gigantic, but he didn't know how it was formed. At the place where the cyan beam of light touched the desert, there was a gigantic gate of light. It was 33 jong tall and 45 jong wide, and was tightly closed. Around the cyan beam of light, thousands of people were stationed. They were all wearing different kinds of clothes. Some were wearing yellow robes, some were wearing black robes, some were wearing blue, some were wearing white, and some were purple. The patterns on their sleeves were different, which meant that they were from different martial institutions. At this moment, the people from the Emerald Martial Palace had already arrived. Among all the forces in the Windy Nation, they were the closest to the scorching ancient desert. Of course, this was only relative. Hundreds of thousands of miles of distance was necessary. After all, it was 70 to 80,000 miles from the edge of the desert to the center. 8 disciples from the Emerald Martial Palace had arrived, 3 of whom Yi Chen knew. They were the Emerald Child Zhuang Fei, the Palm Absolute Liu Wuxiang, and Ji Xuan. Moving his eyes away from the Emerald Martial Palace, Yi Chen's pupils shrank. So many powerful young warriors. Among the hundreds of young disciples from different martial institutions, almost all of them were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Over 80% of them were the child-to-be of the Windy Nation, and over 50% were the child level. Among them, tens of them looked as powerful as Lynch. Obviously, they were at the same level as the child North Snow. However, this wasn't enough to surprise Yi Chen. What surprised Yi Chen was that there were quite a lot of clasping Yuan realm young warriors. With a single glance, Yi Chen could already see 7 to 8 of them, and some of them must have not arrived yet. Chapter 140. Lu Hanshan said with a serious face, "Brother Yi, this time, we have to be careful when we enter the Heaven Dream ancient region. There are many young powerful martial artists in the Hidden Dragon ranking this time." Hidden Dragon ranking martial artists? Yi Chen raised his eyebrows. He remembered that Zhuang Fei was ranked 68th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking, but of course, he was only at the peak of the late condensing reality realm back then. Lu Hanshan said, "In the last Hidden Dragon ranking, all the martial artists ranked below the top 50 were at the peak of the late condensing reality realm. The top 50 were at the early clasping Yuan realm, the top 10 were at the peak of the early clasping Yuan realm, and the top 3 were at the mid clasping Yuan realm. They represent the top young martial artists of the South Shore region, and they are even more powerful than the older generation. Especially the top 3. I heard that they are as powerful as the 5 leaders of our Windy Nation." The top 3 are as powerful as the 5 leaders of our Windy Nation? Not only Yi Chen, even Zhu Mai and Xu Jing's expressions changed. They all looked at Lu Hanshan. He was the only one from the Sky Cloud Martial School who had participated in the Hidden Dragon ranking in the last 10 years, although he was eliminated in the end. Lu Hanshan nodded heavily. "You have never watched the Hidden Dragon ranking, so you don't know how powerful they are. The top 10 of the Hidden Dragon ranking are qualified to be called the top martial geniuses of the South Shore region, and the top 3 are already qualified to compete for the title of Peerless Genius. If they have great luck, they might even reach the Sea of Souls realm, or even the Life and Death realm in the future. They are the most powerful generation in the South Shore region in the last 100 years. Are they really that powerful?" Zhu Mai was a nice person. As the head disciple, she didn't act like the head disciple. She just frowned after hearing Lu Hanshan's words. You won't believe it even if I tell you now, but you have to know that the top 3 of the hidden dragon ranking come from the top 3 countries of the South Shore region. They are all extremely talented, and have been training martial arts that are way more powerful than ours. They never lack resources. From these 3 aspects, you can imagine how powerful they are. Compared to them, I am still not powerful enough. Yi Chen let out a breath and asked, Brother Luo, who are these hidden dragon ranking martial artists? Lu Hanshan glanced at the crowd in the east and said, the one who is wearing blood-red clothes with golden edges is Mo Wuxue, the head disciple of the evil blood martial school. He is 22 this year, and he is ranked 54 in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him One Blade, Bloodless. I heard that he has already reached the clasping Luo, and has Shan. I said, Luo, and he have reached the Shan. Yi Chen followed Luo Hanshan's line of sight. 700 meters to the east, surrounded by 7 disciples in blood-red robes, a pale-faced young man was especially eye-catching. He was wearing a blood-red robe with golden edges, and had a tall and slim body. He looked noble, but also had an evil and murderous aura, which made him look extremely dangerous. This guy is terrifying. Yi Chen's soul power was amazing, and he was able to distinguish different kinds of auras. With just one glance, he could tell that Mo Wuxue was even more powerful than Zhuang Fei. If Zhuang Fei was a tiger that had yet to show its power, then Mo Wuxue would be a giant serpent that had been lying in ambush. Once Mo Wuxue launched his attack, his enemies would be killed. Afraid of being noticed by Mo Wuxue, Luo Hanshan quickly moved his eyes away and looked at the second person in the northeast. This guy is called Yuan Hangying, the head disciple of the Sky Eagle Castle, a rank 7 institution in the Rudra Nation. He is 23 years old, ranked 59 in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him Killer Eagle. He is as powerful as Mo Wuxue, but he is extremely cruel. Mo Wuxue kills for the sake of killing, while Yuan Hangying kills for pleasure. Both of them are murderous monsters. It is said that countless people have died in their hands. This time, Yi Chen immediately found Yuan Hangying. It was not that Yuan Hangying's cultivation was higher than Mo Wuxue's, in fact, he was slightly weaker than Mo Wuxue's. It was just that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hangying's body was way too strong. It meant that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hangying's body was so strong that it couldn't be hidden at all. There was an old saying in the True Spirit continent, kill 1,000 enemies, and the murderous aura will fill the entire land. It meant that the murderous aura released from Yuan Hangying's body had already spread all over the land. The murderous aura could not only increase one's fighting power, it could also oppress one's opponent mentally. The only disciple from the Sky Cloud Martial School who had completed the 1,000 kill was Meng Chong. His real power was not that much higher than the others, but the murderous aura released from his body had made his blade art even more powerful. Usually, he would be able to kill his enemies with only one blade attack. However, compared to Yuan Hangying, it was like a chicken in front of an eagle. They were not even on the same level. Rubbing his nose, Yi Chen thought to himself, this is a real murderous monster. He has killed over 10,000 people. However, Mo Wuxue was not bad either. The killing intent released from his body had almost turned into an evil aura. No matter what, he had killed at least 6,000 to 7,000 fresh human live. Uncontrollably, Yi Chen let out a bitter smile. Up until now, he had killed less than 50 people. Most of them were killed during missions. Yi Chen had been staring at Yuan Hangying for a long time. Yuan Hangying, who was wearing a dark cloak, turned his head and grinned. His white teeth shone with a cold light under the sunlight. Both Lu Hanshan and Zhu Mai let out a muffled moan, their faces slightly paled. Yuan Hangying's evil aura was way too strong. Even with just a single glance, it would make people feel as if they were looking at a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. People with weak willpower might even spit out a mouthful of blood, otherwise the evil aura would accumulate in their bodies and hurt their minds. What was strange was that Xu Jing didn't react at all to Yuan Hangying's cold and creepy look. Her face was still as bland as water. As for Yi Chen, he had already mastered the sword intent. As long as he didn't hurt people, it would be impossible for Yuan Hangying to hurt him with the evil aura. Once the sword intent was released, no evil could harm him. it could even cut through the void. Yuan Hongying was a bit surprised. Among the 4 people, only 2 of them were affected by his gaze, the other 2 were completely unaffected. If they were clasping Yuan realm warriors, it would be fine, but these 2 were obviously only at the late condensing reality realm. Hee. Yuan Hongying licked his lips. This kind of person was more interesting to kill. After a while, Lu Hansan finally calmed himself down. He didn't dare to look at Yuan Hongying anymore. He continued to introduce the other young hidden dragon-ranked martial artists to Yi Chen. Cai Yu Yao, the head disciple of the Yuhua Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Rudra Nation, ranked 64th in the last hidden dragon rank. People call her the Moonlight Phoenix. Her weapon is the Water Moonthorn. She is good at piercing through enemies with a single point. It is extremely powerful. Lu Jiao, the head disciple of the White Mystery Nation's rank 7 institution, the White Deer Martial School, ranked 61st in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him the White Colt Fleeting. He is ranked in the top 30 in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him the 1,000 pounds palm. His palm strength is as great as a mountain. People who are weaker than him will be crushed with just one touch. They won't even have the ability to fight back. Hong Qianjun, the head disciple of the White Mystery Nation's rank 7 institution, the Multiple Mountain Martial School, ranked 69th in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him the 1,000 pounds palm. His palm strength is as great as a mountain. People call him the 1,000 pounds palm. Xue Hen, the head disciple of the Sky Serpent Nation's rank 7 institution, the Shapeless Martial School, ranked 57th in the last hidden dragon rank. People call him the Traceless Hand. This person's killer moves are invisible. Most of the time, his opponent is already dead. They still don't know how he did it. Therefore, those who have fought against him are all terrified. After introducing 8 people in one breath, Luo Hansan finally stopped and said, "There are 3 big countries in the South Shui region, 10 mid-sized countries and 24 small countries. This time, there are a lot of disciples from 9 countries, but there are only 13 people in the hidden dragon rank. Rudra Nation, as the leader of the 24 small countries, has 4 people. The White Mystery Nation and the Sky Serpent Nation are not as good as the Rudra Nation, they only have 3 people each. Our Windy Nation's young master Emerald, Zhuang Fei, has 11 people in total, and the other 5 small countries only have 2 people. But of course, the hidden dragon rank was released 1.5 years ago. We don't know how many powerful martial artists have shown up now. Maybe there will be more young clasping Yuan realm warriors appearing in our sight." The Rudra Nation was not an ordinary country. Since a long time ago, Yi Chen had already known that the Rudra Nation was famous for producing geniuses. As the leader of the 24 small countries, the number of geniuses in the Rudra Nation was even more than the average mid-sized countries. It should be known that a mid-sized country's area was at least 5 times bigger than a small country's. There were countless martial institutions in the country, and the competition was extremely cruel. Zhu Mai nodded and said, "Among the hidden dragon rank, the top 3 countries have taken 40%, the top 10 mid-sized countries have taken 30%, and the 24 small countries have taken 30%. Rudra Nation alone has taken nearly 25% of the hidden dragon rank. Even among the mid-sized countries, they could still be ranked in the top 4, and they are famous in the whole South Shui region. But none of the young hidden dragon rank warriors here seem to be in the top 50. Yi Chen suddenly said. Zhu Mai and Luo Hansan glanced at Yi Chen with a weird expression. Luo Hansan forced a smile and said, "Brother Yi, haven't you noticed? 90% of the people who made it into the hidden dragon rank are the head disciples of rank 7 martial institutions. There are only 1 or 2 rank 8 martial institutions, and none of the rank 9 martial institutions. And the rank 7 martial institutions are also divided into different levels. The Emerald Martial Palace and the North Snow Martial Academy can only be counted as a normal rank 7 martial institution in the whole South Shui region. The Evil Blood Martial School, Sky Eagle Castle Martial School and Yuhua Martial School in the Rudra Nation are all mid-sized rank 7 martial institutions. The truly powerful martial institutions are mostly in the mid-sized countries. Therefore, although they do not have an advantage in the number of disciples, the quality of their martial institutions is much better, and they are able to make it into the top 50 of the hidden dragon rank. The top 3 countries are even more powerful. Besides the large number of rank 7 martial institutions, there are also rank 6 martial institutions. Without exception, all the top 10 martial institutions are the most talented disciples of those rank 6 martial institutions. Yi Chen said, so, only the powerful martial institutions can produce the most talented disciples, even the Rudra nation is no exception. Indeed, that is the reason. Occasionally, there might be some special cases, but it does not mean anything. It can only mean that they are lucky to have met a genius. But, if this genius joins a powerful martial institution, he might be even more powerful. Lu Hanshan suddenly glanced at Yi Chen. Actually, you are already half a genius. If you could learn the sword intent, it would not be an exaggeration to say that you are a real genius. Unfortunately, you have not had enough time to learn the sword intent. Otherwise, you might be able to compete with the geniuses on the hidden dragon rank. Hearing him, Zhu Mai glanced at Yi Chen with admiration. Learning the sword intent and blade intent is the dream of many sword artists and blade artists. Even among the top geniuses on the hidden dragon rank, not many of them have learned it. I have to say that you have the potential in this area. Yi Chen smiled. He had already learned the sword intent, but he was not very familiar with it yet. He needed to practice it in battles. Roar. A woo. Woo. In the sky above the desert, dozens of huge demonic beasts flew over from different directions. There were many human figures on the backs of those beasts. They were obviously people from other martial institutions. The last 2 hidden dragon rank warriors are here as well. Lu Hanshan said slowly, "You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.